Warning. It is the opinion of the Forestry Productions LLC and the Working Perspectives podcast that we should inform you that some of the language used in this recording could possibly be considered offensive. You have been warned, so if you decide to listen to the recording, then don't complain about the language. Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by the JDub bad boy, Justin Richardson, and our guest today is the outstanding Aaron Rosenthal. JDub, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing swell. What's up?
Swell. Good. Glad to hear. Glad to hear you're swell. All right. So you can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can hang out with us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. And finally, for the love of God, it's every day that I have to hear my wife's goddamn mouth about doing this damn show. So if you could please subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, then please click the like button for the algorithm so I don't have to hear her fucking mouth about doing this show. But other than that, let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies, working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid, launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live, then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. Would you share it? Would you share it? Would you share it? Working Perspectives.
All right. JDub. Long time no see. JK. Saw you last night. Let's talk about this. So Forestry Productions LLC will be soon bringing on a third show with Justin and our good friend Mike Haddonfield, right? How do you say his last name? Hadfield?
He likes to go by Mickey, but Mickey Hadfield.
Mickey Hadfield, right? And
That'd be good.
we won't give away too much, but we're in the process of recording it now. Super excited to get it out there. And honestly, it's I know that we recently had a tiff with a sponsor that I aired publicly what had happened on the show. I didn't say who the sponsor was, and I never will. But we had aired publicly that we had lost a sponsor because they didn't like some of the language that was used on an episode of The Weekend Poppin'. And I told them, well, that's what the people want. So when you come back, I'll take you. But for now, you can take your deal and go walk your dog.
Look, most of the people here who we interview go to bars. It's people. It's how you talk at a bar. It's how it's normal.
Also, it was like, well, our thing is we can be inappropriate, and I think inappropriate is fine. We're adults. We clearly do not cater to children. We do not cater to minors. We cater to an adult demographic, and we have a content warning prior to the episode so you can see it, right? So if you get a problem with some of the language we use, then go fuck yourself, right? Yeah. You don't have to listen, and we tell you that we curse, so you can shove it, and I don't want to hear it. But either way, back to Justin's show with Mickey Hadfield, right?
There you go.
Yeah, Mickey Hadfield. It's going to be one of the things I like about it is that I am handcuffed because I do have an office job that I have to support my wife and children, child, I should say. I don't have children. I just have a child. But so I can't really say everything I want all the time because, I don't want to get fired. But Justin and Mickey do not have that problem. And it's pretty goddamn funny. I'll tell you that right now.
I mean, hell, if my job ever finds out about this podcast, I don't know, but I mean, we'll cross our bridge when we get there.
Yeah, and I don't think
Yeah.
you ever like.
I'm
There's
saying,
nothing.
yeah,
If
I
anything,
don't say anything that offensive. Look, and it's all years ago. I haven't done any of this stuff in years. I'm a
Yeah, well,
much more mild citizen now.
yeah, statute of limitations is way past on anything that we've said. So yeah, I mean, or anything that we've done. Also, I mean, I don't know. Would you get in trouble because you do hit your vape on camera sometimes?
It's just it's nicotine, you know.
Oh,
It's just like
all
smoking
right.
a cigarette.
That's
Yeah.
you know what? That's my fault for assuming that, and I
Yeah,
apologize.
no. I
I
just look
apologize.
stoned all the time. I'm not always high. I just look high all the time.
Right. Yeah, it's a thing. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a, you know.
Yeah, it's a thing. So, all right. So let's keep it moving. So our guest today, Aaron Rosenthal, super excited to have him on. And I've said this before, and I mean this, right? So one of the ways I know that this podcast is fucking killing it is that I get certain people coming up to me and saying that they like the show, right? Which is the best thing ever. And then
Yeah.
also I have people coming up to me and after talking to them and I ask them to be on the show, they're willing to come on, right? So Aaron, when talking to him about the show, we had a couple of so I know Aaron, me and him met at the Henzo Gracie PA Academy in Hatfield, right? I've talked about it a bunch on the show. It's a mixed martial arts gym, primarily Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but they also have boxing, which is what I teach. And then they have Muay Thai and wrestling and like everything you need for mixed martial arts to compete in the UFC and things like that. So I met Aaron there, and we had a couple guys from the gym on the show already. And they're really good episodes, really, really good stuff that you can check out on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast in our vaults. But yeah, so when I was, Aaron would see it because he'd hear from the guys. I would check out this episode. He watched it, liked it. Some of the audio on one of the episodes was messed up, which I still hate to this day. But you live, you learn, you get loves. Couldn't lose the content. But when I was talking to Aaron, and I've talked to him before, never got his full story, but just in talking to him because he's a personable, good guy, got to find out like, hey, this guy would be a hell of a guest to be on the show. So when I asked him to be on the show and he agreed, I was like over the moon because that was just another check mark of all right, well, we're doing something good because we got good people that want to be on the show and listen to the show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's good variety too.
Good.
I'm always surprised every week.
Dude, I'll tell you, I mean, at time of recording, I mean, I might have to cut this, but at time of recording, your episode just aired this week. And next week, we are interviewing the assistant vice president of my company that I work at, which is my company insured the Olympics, right? So they got some money, you know what I'm saying? And this guy's an assistant vice president, and he agreed to be on the show. Which is, it just fits our thing, right? Our whole mantra about entertainment. And I fucking believe this. And I got this from Eric Bischoff is that entertainment is like ice cream, right? Ice cream is delicious, but there's not just one good flavor of ice cream. And there's not just one good form of entertainment, right? Like there's times on the show when we're freaking, when we have like an emotional story or a sad story or like a scary story or an uplifting story or an inspirational story. But most of the time, well, I mean, pretty much always we have a funny story because we're fucking hilarious. Right. But, honestly, just what, but like, with our mantra with the ice cream, I thought Aaron would be a perfect fit for our mantra. Just another good flavor of ice cream. Right. So that being said, super excited that he agreed to be on the show and was tickled pink when he said he would come on. And I'm so happy to have him here and he's doing great and everything like that. Aaron, before we get started, I would just like to ask, how do you like your Cheetos? Crunchy or puffed?
So I'll go crunchy on that.
Fucking goddamn right, you're gonna go crunchy.
Yeah, baby. Team Henzo right here.
That's it, man. Crunchy Cheetos for life. Yeah, I don't
know
like
how puff better.
Oh God, how could you?
How can you not?
I figured, by the way.
Yeah. I'm a puff boy. Yeah.
I'll tell you, dude. I mean, the only time I've ever liked puffed is when they're stale, so they get a little crunchy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, crunchy is the way to go. It's the only way to go. Crunchies changed the game. But yeah, so nice. How are you, Aaron? Thanks for coming on, man. How you doing?
I'm great, man. As one of your thousands and thousands of big fans, I'm honored to be here. You're sitting with the assistant vice principal of bullshit. So fire away. I don't know how you're assistant vice principal of fair, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm actually the president of bullshit. And
see, I work for you.
Yeah, president, owner, and manufacturer of bullshit. That's me. But yeah, man. So nice to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on. Usually I would ask, and historic moment for the Working Perspectives podcast, because this would have been the first time I didn't lead off the introduction of the guest with the infamous question, have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? What do you think of that piece of shit movie? Right? Which, have you seen it? And what do you think?
Piece of crap. No.
Yeah. No. Awful.
In fact,
awful.
Cheetos are a piece of crap too. Everything's
yeah. Puff,
that's my answer.
Cheetos.
Yeah, piece of crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Puff Cheetos. Puff Cheetos are the Bohemian Rhapsody of snacks. All right.
Yes, sir.
So great. Nice. But yeah, so a historic moment. You were the first guest ever introduced on the Working Perspectives podcast that didn't have to answer the question about Bohemian Rhapsody. Instead, we switched it up with what kind of Cheetos do you like? And you answered that correctly. So hats off to you.
Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, of course. So I want to get right into this. We have a lot of really good stuff, man. Super excited. And this is one of the things, and I've talked about this before, is that like the way the gym is, the way the Henzo Gracie PA Academy is, right, is that it brings a ton of people from different walks of life together. You know what I'm saying? And like recently on the show, we had Mike Padilla on the show, who I also met at the Henzo Gracie PA Academy. But then like when you go, I'll tell you this, like you got to have some screws loose to want to train at Henzo's, but like screws loose in a good way. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of our guys are ex wrestlers or ex kind of like combat fighters, military, got a ton of military and cops in there and stuff like that. So, but you got to kind of have a little love for some combat. So when you get all kinds of people coming in, but it really is great because you can connect with people. Like, I don't know, had it not been for the gym, Aaron, I don't know if we would ever have met in the civilian world. You know what I mean? So
no shot.
Yeah. So bringing us together and becoming friends, just one of the great things that the gym has provided. But it is also like a cool thing where like now we can get another backstory on someone that normally we wouldn't have had. So to dive right into it, you were born in Beantown, aka Boston, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. Titletown.
The Windy City, the city that never sleeps, the city by the bay, Boston.
Love that dirty water.
So born in Boston and grew up in Newton, which is, for all of you podcast aficionados out there, is the hometown of the world's greatest podcaster, the one and only Joe Rogan.
Ah, shit. Look at that.
Yeah. How about it?
I've heard about that town, man. Yeah.
Shout out Newton. Yeah. He said, like, on Rogan, he makes it out that Newton was like, it had some like kind of working class, dodgy areas, right? Is that the truth?
Yeah. So he was he actually was on my side of Newton, which was not, but otherwise it's, you tell people in Boston you're from Newton, it's like, you're not a tough guy. Let me tell you. It's like,
But you lace cut and I'm from Southie,
Yeah. Those guys. Yeah.
Well, they can shove it. But nice. So grew up in Newton, right? And then you would move around a little bit, after your college or after high school and everything like that. So you did public school till you were in 7th grade and then went to a boarding school for 4 years. So I want to talk about this. So you started in this public school. What was the reason for leaving public school originally to go to a boarding school?
So actually, I only did a 2.5 years at the boarding school, but it was, so I wasn't a great student. I was a lost kid. I didn't have, I wasn't a great athlete at the time. And, I just didn't have a lot going on. I wasn't great in school. So we decided I needed kind of a smaller class environment. I was acting up at home, that kind of stuff. It wasn't like a military school, but it ended up being the greatest experience because you get that. I think there were like 20 kids in not even 15 kids in each class, and made some great friends that I'm still friends with. And it's a unique experience. It was great though.
Dude,
So
that is something I want to touch on, because like you would live at the school, right? Like you would.
yeah. Yep. So
ahead.
the school was, fortunately, it was 20 minutes from my hometown. So it's not like they shipped me off, which was
Right.
nice. So on the weekends I could go home. But yeah, so we do classes. I did play sports. I wasn't good, that's where I found wrestling, and I excelled at wrestling because a lot of wrestlers aren't good athletes; they're just good wrestlers. But I don't know if
True.
that's true, but
Well, partially.
yeah.
It's kind of like John Kruk had the best saying. He's some lady had called him a good athlete, and he's like, I'm not an athlete, lady, I'm a ball player. Where it's
Yeah.
like, wrestlers have certain skills. Like if you look at like Jordan, for instance, Jordan is athletic and he's in shape and stuff like that, but he's a fucking goober too. You know what I mean? Where it's like, he's just got like the solid muscle and like, good balance, which are great attributes to have. But yeah, he was super wrestling. Sorry, I broke you up. Go ahead, keep going.
No, we're good. But put it this way, I wasn't playing basketball, so I found wrestling. But so I did, cross country in this. I was addicted to wrestling, but I did cross country in the fall to get in shape for that. And then I played lacrosse, and I was a tiny kid. I mean, I was wrestling 119 or whatever. So without that in public school, and I just felt lost. Like my town, like every other town, and especially in Pennsylvania, I'm blown away here. But sports rules. Sports is king. So I kind of just didn't. I had great friends, but we were the group that was friends with everybody, and we weren't the jocks, and we weren't, so it was kind of like I was a lost kid. So basically going to private school was the greatest thing in the world. Just to I was a big man on a little campus, basically, when I got there. Big yeah, exactly. That's a better term. And so I started getting A's at private school because I got the attention, I got the recognition I needed. In public school, you get, they're
herding cattle. That's all it is. It's herding cattle.
Exactly. So it really at that point set me on the right path to know, like, to make me feel good about myself and make me, know if I work hard. I remember going up on stage to get presented with awards for scholastic stuff, which I'm a dumbass. So it's like,
but that wouldn't. Nice. You're saying like in public school, you just don't think like you would have had the opportunity to achieve that type of success, right?
Yeah. And I was a very, very shy kid, believe it or not. So I was raised by my mom, single mom. I had a brother, and it was so public school was overwhelming for me, and so I just would never raise my hand. I would never, my head was always down. I was slumped over. So going to private school where everybody, you get a little more attention and everybody's really on your side. It was great because again, big fish, small pond, and I was the guy, and so it was great. So it's fun.
Well, no, that's awesome. So that's another thing too, where like single mom, that's a tough shout too. Plus you're the oldest child as well.
Oldest child, greatest mom in the world though. I love her.
Oh,
she's great. Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with you, but there is a lot more responsibility and pressure put on you as being the oldest child of a single parent. You know what I mean? And Justin, you had that similar situation for a while as well, where it is tough, where it's like, I feel like, if you like, you could tell those kids that kind of didn't have like a male influence, right? Where it's like,
that and there's a big difference. Like my brothers I had 3 older brothers who went to private schools. There was like I don't know, 400 kids in their graduating class, and then I went to public school. There was 1,100 in my graduating class. So like my brother knew every single person in his grade, and I can name 9 people from my graduating class. And it was a completely different world. Like I was like, it's a whole different world. The same thing too. Both of us had single moms and stuff. So like you come home like to an empty house, and you have like the relationships you make with most people you go to school with makes a big difference.
Do you see like, and we've talked about this on the show, and I know it's like, I hate that I keep bringing it up, but it is something that's true. Whereas like I went to Catholic school, right? And in Catholic school, I didn't have a male teacher until I was in 9th grade. So I'm 14 years old, right? So as for like the development of young men, it's not good, right? I don't think it is at all. And there's been a couple guys we've had on this show who've had like father figures that were laxed and things like that, that really like developed a bond with a coach or a teacher, a male teacher, a male coach at a young age. Right. And like we even said it on Justin, on your episode, we talked about Mr. Matzinger and you know, a couple other male teachers and things like that. Did you get that relationship? Like, I'll say this, my dad left when I was 15. Right. And even like for years later, going down, like, you know, even working at like bars and restaurants, if there was like an older guy there, I'd always latch on like to that guy and like take advice and talk to him and like tell him things like, just have like good talks and stuff with him and things like that. And I knew in my mind, I was like, it's a, you know, attempting not a replacement of a father figure, but, you know, the wanting of a father figure. Did you ever have that kind of thing, Aaron, where it's like, you know, when you had a male teacher or something like that, where you kind of latched on, and did that help you like open up your personality a little bit more? Or
yeah, so I was, as you're talking about this, I'm trying to think, and I'm probably forgetting somebody, but I don't remember really having, like, I had a big brother at some point. He was a great guy, but I don't remember having anybody that really was
what do you mean, like a stepbrother, big brother?
Like, no, like a big brother. I do have stepbrother, half brothers, by the way, JDub, like you, but yeah. So but that wasn't until later. I was, I think, 13 when the first one was born. But so I don't ever remember having. I remember my wrestling coach at private school, as Mr. Ram, was a great guy, and I think but you know, other than that, I remember my mom really being the person.
For sure.
You know, and as an older person, maybe a little older than you guys, I don't necessarily know that not having a father figure in my life, it definitely messed me up when I was younger, something fierce, because you see all these other kids. But at this age and what's important to me in life, I really almost think it was to not, different dads are different than other dads, but to not have, like, you know, a hard ass like dad on my back, you know, those kind of dads. I almost think it gave me like an empathy towards people that really is like, in this day and age with what's important to me, I think it made me a softer, kinder person. And, you know, and then I think it took a little of people taking advantage of that for me to become a little bit of a harder person on my own.
Right.
So, you know, now if you want to take advantage of it, then we're going to, talk, but it's that's my tough words of the day. Cause
dude, I think that's but I think as an adult male, right, that's something that you eventually have to come to grips with, and something that you do have to learn. Like I've been taken advantage of too, because I'm a nice guy, right?
Exactly.
But there is a point where you're just like, this shit fucking stops now. Even if it's like, I know we've all been taken advantage of by a chick, right? Let's go, you know, like, come on, we've all been there, right? But it's like but it's also like, I think that's one of the great things about the gym, is that the gym helps restore that confidence as well, where it's like, fuck you, I ain't taking your shit. You know what I mean? Like, you do need, like, don't get me wrong, always lead with kindness and being polite and everything like that. 100% agree there. But fucking, if someone tries to take advantage of your kindness, that's the kind of shit I do not stand for. And I think that, like, that's what makes me so goddamn angry. But, you know, we'll talk about that some other time. So what do you think then was one of the things that attributed to you, like, opening up your personality at the private school? Do you think it was just like there wasn't as many people, so like the kind of like you was more camaraderie because you were less people, it was a tighter group, and you kind of like, you know, like, to be like, you would make that place your home, right? Like, you're living there, like, that's your place, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the type of kids that were attracted to this type of private school. So first of all, it was some of them weren't great students. They were in my boat, but then you had, believe it or not, half the kids were international kids. So nice. I was already just being from here and speaking the language great. I was already in that 50% of people who was going to be cool anyway, but it was at the time. But it was, I think the seniors, for whatever reason, because I was a small kid and I used to hunch over, like, make myself as invisible as possible. I think these kids thought I was like cute and like but it wasn't like public school where you get put in a locker. It was more like we're taking this kid as our mascot. So they used to call me, first nickname I was ever given, it's Aaron Rosenthal. So one of the seniors, lacrosse player, big kid, like nicest guy in the world. He like befriended me and used to start calling me Rosie. So like all the senior girls were like, oh, he's so cute, you know, that kind of thing. So from there, you know, I automatically got clout with the freshmen because the seniors were like cool. And then I guess basically the fact that it was a smaller school, and I don't think like clicks and looks and all that stuff really made you popular. I don't know what did, I think, but the fact that they took me under their wing automatically gave me clout. So moving through the subsequent years, I was just, you know, Rosie, you know, it's like, so it was great. Yeah. Dude, this is the first time actually. It was great.
That is great. Plus too, like, I'll say this, that's one of those things where I don't think that would happen in Pennsylvania, especially out in the Philadelphia area, just because kids are so, like, people here are such fucking assholes, right?
We
like
monsters.
Well, like, here's the difference though. If it was a neighborhood thing, right? Like, I had kids like that in my neighborhood and we looked out for them. You know what I mean? Because like when you went to school, and Justin, I think you would agree with this, it was like, yeah, and like when we would like hang around here, like we were all buddies and things like that and stuff. And then, but when you went to school, it doesn't matter your age, we're all together kind of thing, right? Like if, you know, and I feel like there were some kids, you know, maybe not to your extreme though, because it was like, all right, this is so-and-so's little brother, or this is someone else's friend.
Yeah, there was always there was always like one kid who like didn't get it. And like we would be nice to him just because like we knew the world was going to destroy him. So like we tried not to like add to it. We were like, this kid has no idea what's going on.
Yeah. But it wasn't like it sounds like this is like, it sounds like it was also, was this school co-ed?
Of course it was. I'm not going to a boys' school, buddy. What are you talking about?
Dude,
of course it was.
Well, that's crazy. If you like, dude, I mean, like, we can cut this if you want, but you guys must have been fucking slapping backs, and, you know, like, crazy.
So I think there were 2 girls' dorms and 1 boys' dorm, because I don't think as many guys were boarding there. I'm not kidding, man. It's great. It's great.
You must have been fucking women in the pussy.
So can I tell you again? Small shy kid. I had, you know, I didn't peak until 18. If you want to do another show on my 20s of bartending, I can, got some files for you.
Hey man, we can do. I'll tell you what. If I wasn't married, I might fucking pick you up on that. But no, so nice though. But dude, it's like a place where you know what, that shows too the leadership of the older kids in that school, where it's like, we're not, because I'll tell you, especially back then, like it was the cool thing to be a dick. It was the cool thing to pick on the little guy back then. Oh yeah. Right. But these kids saw it as like, hey, we're not going to pick on this guy. We're going to bring this guy up. We're going to let this guy get some pride and, you know, put his shoulders back and, you know, show his true self, which turned out they ended up liking. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I just think that's like, you know, that is a very lucky situation that you got there. Would never happen in Philadelphia or the Philadelphia area, which is a shame. But, you know, that's great though, that is awesome that you got to experience that. So you were there, right? And then, so you're there, and that's when you started wrestling and for the first time, right? So what you said, you also did lacrosse and cross country, but was lacrosse and cross country kind of just to stay in shape for wrestling?
Yeah. So unlike Pennsylvania, which I'm finding out, I don't tell people I ever wrestled here because they start when they're 4. What did Jordan start when he was a half-year-old? But it's
I started when I was I think I was 6. Yeah,
exactly. And we talked about this. So we didn't have a wrestling program in my junior high. There was no youth wrestling program probably within 15 miles of my town. Yeah. And you know, the tougher towns would have a youth program. But so freshman year, I decided I want to do a sport. I'm a small guy and I go out for wrestling. Yeah. And it changed. I mean, you know,
changes you.
We don't need to spend time on this because it's just,
we'll spend all the fucking time we need,
but it's it's the same story from everybody, but it really changes your life. So I found that now I'm killing it in school. Now I have the sport. Meanwhile, I'm a heavy kid at that point, like a chunky small kid.
So you just had your baby fat on you then. You just had to trim out.
Yeah. So what it taught me was discipline. It taught me, I mean, not even the diet part of it, but just the discipline. And then I fell in love, and I knew, so I was always thinking about wrestling. And then school, and then wrestling season ended, and I did lacrosse, but always, so it really gave me something that I could be proud of. I remember every time you pin a kid, you get one of those big diaper pins. And meanwhile, private school. So I'm varsity freshman year at 125 because there's not a, so it's great. Yeah. So I remember I used to wear that sweatshirt around everywhere I went. And you'd have baby pins on and I'd be like, pin. It was the greatest thing for a small, shy kid, single mom. Like it just,
plus two, you're like, dude, it like, especially that age when kids were growing, because I was a late bloomer as well, where it's like you see all these kids like shooting up and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Why am I like, and like there's a lot, like, especially at that age, everything's competitive and there's so much masculinity and things like that. And you do have to earn your stripes sometimes, but you having that mantra of being like, your identity was found like, oh no, this kid might be like a little short, but he's a tough fucker, man. Look he's a wrestler. And like, and you were able to like build discipline and get all these things. I'm telling you, it like people understand like how, because it is tough. It is a grind, but it's also the fairest sport in the world, right? It is the most fair, right? There's no other sport where you're going to go against the guy that's the exact weight and like, close to the same size. You obviously there's some height things and things like that, but you're the same weight that you're going to go against, right? Like you have the same amount of ability to train and make weight as the person you're going against. And if they train more, then they'll win. Right. So it really is. I mean, we do big up wrestling on this show, which you should, because it's probably, it's, that sport will affect your life more than any other sport. And I firmly believe that. But
and the last thing I'll say on that is this particular school happened to be very artsy also. So there were a lot of arts kids. So the seniors, being in a boarding school, seniors were sneaking off into the woods, smoking joints. I could have easily, as a non-athlete, and I was also an artist, I was a good artist. So I could have easily, not that these kids were bad kids or not that it's bad to,
they're just being kids.
So, but I could have easily
popped out, smoked a dude.
I might have inhaled, in college, but I could have been starting that at a younger age and not found wrestling and then still been that introverted little kid, but walking around paranoid now because I don't do well.
Dude, you couldn't be more right. Yeah, dude. So, and it keeps you on the straight and narrow. Absolutely, man. Dude, I'm happy for you. That's awesome. And it's good that it's another just positive story that wrestling has. Don't get it twisted. I've told some negative wrestling stories on this show, but there's some positives too. So that's awesome. Plus, dude, I'll tell you this is something, and we had talked about this recently on another show on the Pop-In, somewhat recently, within a couple months, but in England, if you go to England, right, they have schools over there that are specifically designed, like if you're a kid and you're like, I want to be an actor, or I want to be a playwright, or I want to be a writer, or whatever the fuck it is, they have schools that are like, okay, instead of going to public school, just go to this school, and it's whatever. Like you can just get into it. That's what they do, right? That's why like some of the best performers, actors, singers, whatever, come from England, right? That's it. They're incredible. So to me, it seems like were your school more towards like the theatrical arts or like art or drawing or whatever, like, or all art in general was this boarding school?
These guys were more art, like probably became artists. They were really talented. So actually going to the school, I was a decent artist, and I got there and realized I was a shitty artist. And that's when I started wrestling. So maybe I owe that to these kids being such great artists. And then, I started wrestling. So
dude, that's one thing I like. There's some things I just I can't play music to save my life. Right. I can't draw or really write for shit. Right. Like my handwriting and whatever, it's all terrible. And if I can't draw anything, it's awful. Those are some of the things like I wish like I could do.
My brother can't play a sport, but can play every single instrument. Has like beautiful. I failed handwriting. My dad used to freak out and be like, "How do you fail handwriting?" I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just bad at it. Like,
you should have told my dad in 10 years they're not even gonna have this. So like, what the fuck,
Yeah, but he can play every instrument. He can draw. He can do everything I can't do.
Who,
I can't
Brad
draw
or
for
Mike?
my life. Yeah, Brad. Brad can draw.
Shout out Brad. Big fan. Love that guy.
Drums, guitar, piano. He can play every instrument. I can't play one instrument. I can play the recorder all right.
Also, too, I heard word on the street is he's pretty good in bed. So there you go. He's got that as well.
He's a coxman.
He's a
The redheaded coxman. He's an illustrious type.
The ginger coxman. Nice.
You don't see it. You don't see it all the time.
No, you don't. You rarely do. So
you never see it coming.
Yeah, nice. So okay, so let's keep this moving then. So you went to the boarding school, like you said, 2.5 years, right? And then
Correct.
after there, you would go back to the public school and you would senior year at public school. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was doing great at private school. I loved wrestling so much, and I was excelling at private school, and we were in the worst division. I mean, I was excelling against preppy kids, whatever. Yeah. So I told my mom I really like to go to the public school to wrestle. Yeah. So I'd be going in at my junior year, and she said to me, if you'd really like to do that, I'll help you buy a car because we're going to be saving so much money on this private school. Oh, so she actually paid for half my car. Nice. Because I think she thought I was ready, and yeah.
So she knew the boarding school was to help you get out of your shell, right?
Yeah, and at that point, I was, things were just better. I was older. I was, it's
you're excelling in athletics. You're excelling in scholastic and grades and all that too. Like, so this really was like this boarding school really changed your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also my mom wanted me to be a happy kid. She just wanted the best for me. So when I approached her, it was never like, you're going away to military school, like I said. So when I approached her and said, I really love wrestling. I love this wrestling thing. I want to give it a shot in public school. So that's why I made the move, basically.
Did you have any friends that went to the public school?
So when I left junior high school, I was a small little kid. So I don't even remember. I guess I had a couple friends, that were still there. But at that point, we had grown apart. Yeah. But my brother, who is 2 grades younger than me, was the best looking freshman at that school, the most talented athlete at that school. Yeah. So I walked in as Micah Rosenthal's brother. So any junior, so it wasn't like, at private school walking in like that little kid and the seniors like immediately accepted me.
Rosie.
I wasn't a spaz. Yeah. When I got to South, I remember the first day I'm in like the common room and this kid comes up to me. It's a popular kid. And he goes, hey, you're Micah Rosenthal's brother, right? And I go, yeah, I'm Aaron. What's up? He's like, all right, you come here. I'll show you around. Like it was that kind of thing immediately. Wow. And he goes, and I think my brother also told these guys that I was some badass wrestler.
Nice.
So I get there and the guys from the wrestling team come up to me and go, so I heard you're going to wrestle. So I had this reputation. Meanwhile, I wasn't a good wrestler, but I had heart. I mean, I was a decent wrestler, but I had heart. So these guys, I guess my brother talked me up enough. I came in right at the beginning. I did a couple months. So he had already been at the school. I came in, with enough clout that I was immediately,
on the team.
Into it. So, yeah. So
did you make varsity at the public school?
I did. Cause I was, and let me tell you, I got challenged for wrestle-offs every single friggin' week. And people would drop to my weight class because I was the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah.
But I held the spot all year. I mean,
good. Dude, people don't realize it's every week. At most schools, it's like, unless you're fucking, returning state champion, not a lot of people are going to wrest you off. But there's a lot of times where it's like, you're fighting for that varsity spot every week. So you literally have 2 matches, like we would have like 2 to 3 dual meets a week or whatever. So it's every week you have like 3 extra matches if you're wrestling off before every meet. You know what I mean? So nice. So good, man. Glad to hear. So then you're at this new school. I will say this, right? As far as prep school wrestling goes, it gets kind of like, it's like a double standard, right? So when we would the team I was on was nationally ranked. When the 3 years I was there, we were nationally ranked every year, right? And so when we would do that, they would put us up against other nationally ranked teams. So we would wrestle dual meets against the number 1 teams in the nation and stuff like that. And we would see them at tournaments and stuff. And I remember there's this one team, it's called Blair Academy, right? And they're known as the best high school wrestling, at least back then. They were consistently the best high school wrestling team in the country. But the thing is, with prep schools, they can recruit, right? So like if you were a public school, it was just like, these are the kids that are around here. Maybe some drive a little further than others, but that's just the way it is. But with the, like, the prep school, it's like, who, like, they can just cherry pick whatever. But the thing was, there was like some prep schools that were fucking garbage. So it was like, either you were fucking the best school or you were fucking dog piss, right? There wasn't anything in between. So, well, like, if you met a kid that was a prep school state champion, I would be like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, because there was 2 different states for that. There was the public school states, which were legit. But then if you were a prep school state champ, or like at that point, you could be a prep school national champion, where it's like, if you're a national champ, you're probably on one of the good teams. But if you're a state champ, if you're the prep school state champ from West Virginia, you fucking suck. I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, so, but yeah, so either way, so you're in wrestling. So you fend them all off. You keep your spot. You do your thing. Glad to hear it, right? You're wrestling there. How was it going back into public school and jumping back into there? Also, is this when you started working at the hardware store?
Oh yeah, so we can back it up. I started working at that hardware store in junior high school at 12 years old. So
wait. So you were the little fucking pudge ball.
Tiny.
Yeah. And you're working at the hardware store. So
pudge ball, easy pal.
All right, sorry.
Fudge ball.
No, so you were this little kid with some baby fat on you, right? Yeah. You're this little, preemie. And you're walking around.
Keep
like
it up.
I'm kidding. So you're working at the hardware store at a young age. And I'll tell you what, I remember like I would work at I started working at a restaurant when I was 12, right? And they fucking ate it up. They like the clients that would come in, the customers, they would love it because it was an Italian place. And I didn't know back then that I was Italian. Found out now that, 23andMe, my grandma wasn't faithful. So, part Italian, what are you going to do, Madone? So either way, but like they would see like, this young kid at this restaurant and the customers would eat it up. Like, look at this little guy, and people like sliding you money and things like that. But at the hardware store, like if you knew your stuff, they probably just fucking loved seeing you there. Right.
Yeah. So I think so. Greatest job ever. And I learned a lot. I think from 12 to 14, they were trying to hide me so that they didn't get in trouble for having a 12-year-old there. So I was in the basement. I was in the, they had like a garage next door, like hauling 40-pound bags into the store, right into the basement, right back to the way, they kept me pretty hidden. But I remember I used to make keys. I used to repair screens.
Nice.
And I was a hardworking kid. I still am, but yeah.
Dude, that's great. So they're teaching you all this like great stuff. And like I had a buddy, former guest of the show, friend of the show, Jason Bowers. He worked at a hardware store for like.
I listened to him, and I listened to that.
Dude, he knows like he still knows everything, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like because people legit come in asking like, hey, I got this wrap joint that needs a 2x4 with the skidamac and the swagadoo, and he's like, oh, go check the mingabadags and whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like, who the like, so like you get like, it's a real like working there is almost like another education in a way, because you're learning all this stuff, which is awesome. So did you like working at the hardware store or what?
It was the best. I mean, it was the best job. It was first of all, the smell, it's hard to recreate because those true values, the Home Depot doesn't have that smell. It's like
not the same.
It was like take a Home Depot and put it in a small room, and then you get the smell.
There was this little row homes of shops in North Wales, and they had a hardware store. You could enter from the back and the front, and it was there forever. And we used to steal wooden dowels out of there and turn them into like half ball sticks. Stick ball. And the one day we were in there, and he's like, "I know you steal those every day." And I looked at him, I was like, yeah. And he's just like, that's it. Like, have a good day.
What's a wooden dowel?
It was K&A. It's just a long wooden stick,
Oh, okay. Like those flagpole looking things.
And they would have like different diameters. Like sometimes they'd have the real thick ones. Sometimes they'd have like the half thick ones. But either way, I would like pay for the electrical tape and then yank the dowel on the way out and then wrap the shit out of it. And we'd play half ball with it. And but the smell of that, because you're right. It's a whole Home Depot. shoved into like a 10 by 10 store.
What does it smell like? What, like
everything.
cut wood or whatever?
Like rubber and wood and oil, because it had dude, we used to go in there. Like my dad took me in there when I was a kid, and then when my dad wasn't around, I still just went in there because that's like where you got stuff. Yeah. And you could go in there for hours. Like when I got a little older, they had all the piping pieces. You could make bowls for weed out of those.
Nice.
Yeah. We used to buy those.
Typical Lansdale kid here. I pegged him like when I first met him.
North Wales,
North Wales kid.
They had green in there. They had everything you need, yo. You can we made potato guns out of that thing, yo. Our one buddy made a potato gun out of that thing, and we used to fire that joint down 8th Street.
Dude, potato guns were the best.
All from I think it was K&A Hardware. It was K and something hardware, but it was awesome. It's probably the exact place you're talking about, because it was so condensed. Like the aisles were packed with stuff. Yeah. And you could spend a day in there just being like, what is this? What is this?
It's great.
Was it on Sumney Town?
Right, yeah, right on Sumney Town.
By where the pharmacy is?
Yeah, it was literally a block away from the pharmacy.
Yeah, I know.
And they sold remember the pinky balls? They sold racket balls in there, like right at the front.
Yeah. It's on the same kind of strip that Papa Joe's was, right?
Yeah, down a little further. It's now the North Wales Running Company thing.
Oh wow, yeah, I know where that is. Yeah.
But that used to be a crazy packed hardware store.
I know they're all gone. It's a shame, but
it was awesome. Yeah, and I know. I know
that smell, dude. Yeah,
I know
it's
what
great.
you're talking about.
I know. I'm glad you knew.
I wish. You know what? That's a genius idea for a candle to break into the male demographic, right?
Yeah.
If you could harness the male hardware store candle, would you not buy a candle?
It kind of smells 100%. Like Home Depot, but then imagine if you could shove all the aisles into like one. It's like the rubber and the plastic and the everything.
If you find one, JDub, like they're still around somewhere.
There's one in Lansdale.
Wilson's, right?
Wilson's
Isn't Wilson's
still open? Wilson's in Lansdale.
Matt, go in there and take a big whiff.
Imagine Wilson's cut in half.
I'm gonna talk to Jay about this and be like, "Hey, hardware stores, what do you think of the smell?" But nice. Okay, so let's keep it moving then. So. You finish out high school. How was that? Like, did you wrestle both junior and senior year?
So yeah, I wrestled both junior and senior year. It turned out the move, I guess my mom always kind of regretted it. I didn't, but I didn't excel academically in public school. I kind of, it's also junior and senior year. So meanwhile,
you're having fun and hanging out.
At this point, I'm recognized. There's parties, it's like, so it's,
there's also women. I mean, come on.
I know. Again, I didn't blossom until later on in life. So I was still a shy kid, but
hey,
I call it like it is. So,
hey man,
but you either.
Better,
shame in it.
Yeah, no shame. I mean, I crushed it for so many years.
Go ahead. Better, you got the good end of it, man. We weren't trying like. Would you rather, would you rather get some HJs in middle school or get the fucking full Monty at the bar when you're 23? You know what I'm saying? It's fucking worth the wait over here.
I hit a home run before I got to first base.
Hey, the fucking grand salami over here. Love it. So nice. Okay. So then let's keep it going. So you graduate from high school, right?
Yep.
And then once you graduated, were you accepted to NYU right away? Was that the first place?
Yeah. So I got accepted to NYU. I mean, I don't know how, but so I got accepted to NYU, went to, I actually had a great guidance counselor. I wrote a great recommendation. She wrote a great one, blah, blah, blah. But I got into NYU and went to New York City to NYU.
Damn.
So
now that's that's a fucking cool experience. So you're at NYU. What was it like there? How did you like it? Like, what was going down? I mean,
so 17 years old, small kid still.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to go with my best friend from high school, and his dad, who I'm not really happy with, backed out last minute because of money. So he ended up going to Ithaca. But either way, I'm in New York City alone. It was a great experience. It was overwhelming. Back then, the guy at the end of the hall, the dorm, was just printing fake IDs. So I went to any bar I wanted in the village. I went to
the RA.
Yeah, what's that?
Was the RA printing fake? Oh, just like a guy,
no,
you know.
No, just not the RA. Like kind of still you into. That's a great racket though.
Yeah.
But
dude, I mean, if you're printing fake IDs back in the day were like because if you could get into that, I remember former guest of the show, former co-host of the show, the party boy Pete McCormick. He had a fake ID that was absolute garbage, but it fucking worked everywhere. Yep. Right? It was like, I forget, dude, I think it was like from Oregon or something, like terrible, like just it was an out-of-state ID, right? That he went to like this place that like knew they were making fakes, and it said like not valid identification on it, and it would work everywhere, dude. Everywhere.
My buddy could get ones. So when we were 16, 17, my buddy get ones that could scan. Like, remember when cigarettes started to become 18, like really 18, like gas stations would stop selling to 15-year-olds?
Yeah.
They'd swipe it. My boy could get ones that would swipe. So like we could go to the bars in Manioc at like 19 and they would swipe through the reader and work, yo.
Yep.
And I was like, and then like 9/11 happened. And we're like, how is this still possible? Like, I feel like the FBI is going to catch on to us now.
Dude, I remember, so when I would work the door, right, and I knew someone had a fake, what I would do I guess it was like the Android. It was called the Android. I think it was the Android 2 phone. And it had the keypad that would slide up, right? Like, I never used it. I always did the touch screen. But it was one of those ones where it's like you can slide it up and it had like the keyboard underneath, you know, right? So what I would do was if I knew it was a fake, right, I would slide up the keyboard a little bit and swipe it on my phone, right? And then I would like hit like the thing so the light would pop on my phone. I'd be like, sorry, this is fake. Right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And they'd be like, oh, gosh, geez, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do over here? You know? But yeah, so nice. Okay, so you're at NYU, and I'm excited to talk about this. So you're at NYU. We know what kind of school NYU is. It's a big time sports school. All right, sports all the time. NYU. But no, it's you're at NYU and you work at a movie theater in Manhattan. And it was like an independent movie theater called Quad Cinema. Is that right?
It was called the Quad Cinema, right? Yep, exactly. Okay,
so you're working there, and were you like a ticket taker and an usher kind of thing? What was going on?
Yeah, I think it was this. Well, it was the same. Again, a small theater, so I would take tickets sometimes. Other times, I'd be sweeping up popcorn. Oh, it was the same job. So I would take the ticket, and then when the movie was playing and nobody was coming in, I would go, or when the movie ended, I would go and sweep up all the popcorn for the next showing. Yeah. That was basically it.
Dude. Honestly, I miss, like, that's one thing. I fucking loved going to the movies. I've always loved it. Even as a kid, absolutely loved it. The movies, it is like, especially when you're younger, it's like, it is a magical place, man. I know. I fucking loved it. Like, especially
it's going away.
Yeah,
unfortunately, but
how was that movie theater too? Like one of those cool old looking ones, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the middle of I mean, I guess it was
Manhattan.
I don't know. Yeah, but it was, so obviously you don't get a lot of retail space anyway. So it was, I forgot how many screens. I think they had 4 screens, and it was like and they weren't big screens. It was an independent film theater. Yeah. So so it was great.
Would you like? Were there any celebrities coming in or what?
Yeah, so I don't remember. I'm sure there were. And I remember seeing somebody that I knew from my town that was an actress. So they were coming in, whether I recognized them or not. But I'm sure there were more than I saw there. But, you know, I don't remember seeing anybody where I was like, man, that's, you know, whoever.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, Leo. Yeah. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, Leo. Yeah, what's up? Yeah.
But, okay, so I did want to ask about this. So when you're working at the movie theater, you would befriend a person, right?
Yes.
A little
I'm glad
person.
You asked me.
And so let's. So how did you meet this guy? What was the deal? What was your guys' relationship like? Let me hear about it.
So this guy was I'm you know, taking tickets to the movie theater again. Small, shy 17-year-old kid.
Sure.
This guy was probably a 40-year-old little person.
Yeah.
And he used to we had, the usher vest with the bow tie. So like it really like
awesome.
But it really like, it's like back in those days, it really like, it was a great visual I have of this guy.
What was it? Maroon and white were the colors?
I remember I don't remember.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay. Sorry.
I mean,
Keep
it's so
going.
long ago. Yeah.
So you guys you're in your getup. You got the tie. You got the vest. You're with your little person. Go ahead.
My little person. Everyone should have a little person, shouldn't they? So anyway, but this guy, for whatever reason, I forget where we'd go after we get off our shift together. And my memory of this is that there was no manager there. This is how my brain's working, but it's just me and him taking tickets because it's not a big place. So obviously there are people working the popcorn. There's a manager, but I don't remember any of them. But he would walk me. After work, we'd be both walking the same way. And he really befriended me in terms of like, I'd say, hey, I need this. He'd go, you got it. This is a New York City guy, born and raised, never left. I think he had been an usher there for years. He was happy with that, probably getting some kind of other assistance. It's New York City, but great guy. So he would walk me and he would give me all the ins and outs of New York, where to get the best slice, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And when I told you this before, Matt, I wondering if JDub knows what this is, but I was telling Matt that this guy, his special skill was, first of all, he used to tell me he was connected and he had guys, he was mafia because he was a little Italian guy, right. But his unique skill, and back then I didn't realize that there was a market for it, was he would tell me he would watch films and that he knew somebody was going to get naked. So back then I thought I told you this, Matt. So back then it was Fast Times at Richmond High was the famous, you guys have seen that, the famous scene was when Phoebe Cates is on the diving board. And so he'd say to me, watch Fast Times at Richmond High at 43 minutes and 17 seconds, you see Phoebe Cates' boobs. So I'm like, that's great, pal. But back then it was VHS.
Yeah.
So he's literally fast forwarding. I had to fast forward a VHS to that time. And it was like, he would be spot on. So what he did is he cataloged all these VHSs.
Mr. Skin.
Exactly. So years later, I'm listening to Howard Stern. He brings up, am I allowed to mention him on this podcast? This podcast is way better. But he brings up Mr. Skin. And I swear the first thing I did was I got online and I Googled Mr. Skin to try to find a photo of him, thinking 100% it's this him. Guy, and it wasn't. And I was like, but what a unique skill, and I can't believe
that's the exact same thing that Mr. Skin does. He'll give you 30
years later. Yeah,
he'll give you the exact time, the exact movie.
Crazy. And back then I thought this guy was the biggest pervert to watch that much VHS.
Because he's in the theater watching so many movies. Yeah. He knows, and he probably knows with the time guy.
Yep.
The guy who actually flips the reels. He's like, second reel, 15 minutes in.
It's like, we're 27 minutes in. We're about to get some bush.
Yeah. And the other interesting thing about the time that I worked there was right around the time that Pee Wee Herman got busted in New York City in one of the adult places. Yeah. So I was so skeeved out about cleaning up the movie theater because some of the films were independent films, so they were brief softcore nude.
Wait. They weren't the full the main strip in New York. Times Square.
Yeah.
They weren't those kind of theaters, was it?
Not mine.
They full on porn for like years until early
this is 1993. So New York was really New York. You didn't go to Times Square, but that's when Pee Wee Herman got busted. So there was one like independent film, and I don't know the name, but it was like I forget the film, but it was like Fatal Attraction, whatever the one where she gets naked a lot. So, but it's an independent film. So I was so skeeved out every time I went in there to clean up afterwards because of the Pee Wee Herman thing.
You're thinking people putting some extra butter on their popcorn.
Yeah.
Dude, that is fucking Skeeve City. Well, dude. It just shows how like the evolution of it. Like people we think about this as the world before internet porn was just barbaric, but Just how it was, man. Just how it was. If you wanted to whack it, you had to go to a movie theater and then afterwards get a bucket of chicken, and that's a good fucking night, you know.
When I found out that there was booths at the Adult World in Montgomeryville, right on 309 and 202, there's booths in there. My buddy used to go to them, yo, and he was explaining it one night because he's like 4 years older than me. He's explaining it one night, and I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, you put $1 in there, you pick the movie, you just in the booth. And I'm like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, the one right there, the major one, right? But because there used to be a golf cart, mini golf place, right
Garden Golf.
Garden Golf, yeah. Garden Golf, and then Adult World was like right next door.
Yeah, there was a kids play center with like batting cages and mini golf, and then right next to it, Adult World.
Yeah. My mind was blown when I found out there was booths in there. I was like, wait, what?
I believe it's still there, right? Adult World.
Yeah, that's the name Adult World. Yeah, I told you. We used to drive by there and always scream "Dad" when you see somebody walking inside.
yeah.
I'll tell you,
New York City was full of them until Giuliani and shit. Like all of Times Square was full of like half-quarter like porn theaters and stuff like that. Nice. And that's where Pee Wee Herman got booked, like in one of those kind of like porn movie theaters. Well, before the internet. Jerking off was Wild West.
Yeah, man. You didn't know what you were gonna get. What were you saying, Aaron?
I was gonna say that JDub's quotation marks friends sure knows a lot of shady places. He knows a lot about them.
I investigated the booth for myself to see that they did exist, but I've never been in the booth. I'd tell you if I've been in the booth.
Thank you. We're smarter people for that. Thank you.
Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you, that is, I don't know. Man. God, could you like I would it would be funny to see like because that shit, like, I mean, the booths have to have cobwebs on them now, right? Because that was back in the day where you were like, oh, you could pop in a brand new DVD or a brand new VHS, whatever. So they were fucking flipping like hotcakes, those booths. Now the guys that are only using them have a fetish of using a booth. You know what I mean? I don't know. These things have to be like non-existent anymore, just because like why would you pay? You could just go into a bathroom stall with your phone. You know, like if you really want to do it. But either way, all right. So let's get off that subject. All right. So let's keep it moving. So you were in NYU, right? And you said, so you left NYU. Why did you leave NYU? Oh, no, wait. Wait. You didn't, the little person, you never gave us some real background. What's going on?
I mean, we didn't date or anything. So so that was it.
He used to hang out in booths a lot. It was
that was just a special skill. That's what I remember from that job was this guy. So he wasn't an important figure in my life. He just but
he was a good guide.
Dude, but you're like,
you get pizza, this is where you get this.
Dude, this is like, honestly, it really is part of like being a male adult going into the working world, where it's like like if you're a man and I don't know, like I can't speak for what women talk about, but I know like some women are fucking filthy, especially in like the restaurant business. But like I remember being a young kid working in a restaurant and like hearing these things like, oh my God, what did he just say? So like you're a 17-year-old kid, first time, like, you know, like living in the Big Apple away from home, you know, and like you're hanging out with a little person in a movie theater that can rattle off any time you can see a pair of tits in a movie. Like this is welcome to New York, baby. You know what I mean?
So the other thing about this guy is he used to tell these fantastical stories about mafia, about like, and he was a little Italian guy. And I never knew, because I'm this kid from Boston. I'm 17, I'm small. And he could have just been like, yeah, you know, I'm part of the Gotti fit, you know, but half of me was like, this guy might know people. He might, I mean, it's New York. And like, so I used to always be fascinated about that too. Like, is this guy put one on, you know, or is he, and I'm going with he was putting one on, but it always stuck with me that, you know, this guy.
Dude, I would love if he was connected. That would be awesome.
Love him.
I know.
Right? Like if you were sitting next to like Gotti's #1 hitman the whole time and, you know, all he would, you know, and you never knew.
Unfortunately, I don't know how I can find this guy. So I thought he was Mr. Skin, which would have been awesome.
You know what? He's here tonight. Welcome.
Thank you.
No, yeah. His name's Peter, and he was in a TV show called Game of Thrones. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Could have been.
That'd be funny if it was. But either way. So all right. So you leave NYU. What was the deal?
Yeah.
Why'd you end up leaving NYU?
So at NYU, I went as an English major. I was in my mind, a very good writer when I was obviously I got into NYU with my essay. So I was a good enough writer that so I was an English major. Unfortunately, NYU is a pretty well recognized school for English majors and authors
for
and
arts
in general. But so I, kept in touch with one girl I went to NYU with, and she's like a news anchor. These people went on to do these amazing careers, and they were all very. And the other thing was I went from this small private school where I excelled. I went to a public school where I didn't excel academically, which was bigger. Then I went to the school that had no campus and had no, no.
You're basically living in an apartment in New York. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I was very overwhelmed. So I left there. Then went to ZooMass, which is basically the Penn State of Massachusetts.
ZooMass? Is that what they call it?
That's what they call it. Yeah. It was everybody's fallback school.
And it was like a big time party school.
Oh, I mean, I haven't been to Happy Valley, but I would be willing to bet that UMass would give them a good fight for party.
Really?
Yeah,
dude. So they used to do the #1 party schools in the country, right? Like that was like a thing. And Indiana University of Pennsylvania won it a couple times, right?
Oh, okay.
And then Penn State started to take it over, and then they used to just not let Penn State in the running anymore because there wasn't even a competition, because that's how much the partying went on up there.
All right, I take it all back.
UMass is very. I don't know. Honestly, I've only ever partied at Penn State like once or twice, and it wasn't, I didn't really get too much into it because I was fighting at the time. So it was like, I didn't get the party as much as I wanted. I kind of had to stay local. But as far as like, dude, you could be totally right. Like, I mean, I don't know. I didn't the one making the poll, but I'm
completely wrong. I did not know Penn State's pedigree, so I take it all back.
One of the few kids from Boston I've drank with. There's a kid who went to Temple who was from Boston. We called him Boston because his accent was so strong, and that kid drank so much. Yeah,
hell yeah,
that kid was hilarious. So the one time we're at his apartment. We're at my buddy's party, and he's like, I'm going to bed and I need someone to crash. I was like, yeah, can I stay at your place? He lived like upstairs. Go back to his party. He's like, you want coffee? And I was like, sure. He's just got it in a bowl. He's like, I don't have any mugs. You got to take it in a bowl. And he's like, how much sugar do you want? And he's got the full sugar scoop, like the John for the bag. And he's just dumping it in my coffee. And I'm like, that's plenty. He hands me the coffee. We drink it. We play Tiger Wii. Like the Wii U Tiger all night till like 6 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, I got a bunch of blow, yo. You feel like going to bed or no? I love that kid, yo. He was awesome. I have no idea where that kid is now, but he was the best, yo. His dad had a bunch of money, and he did not care about anything, yo.
Justin, that's like the 4th time you've talked about someone giving you cocaine on this show.
Dude, people just love giving me drugs. Like all the adults, all the scenarios you're talking about where you've been to workplaces and you meet an older adult and they like give you good wise life advice, or they like show you the path. No, all of mine have just offered me drugs.
That's awesome.
I got cocaine with an old man.
I remember that.
One boss gave me PCP.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah, people they're like, you look like you'd like to try this.
Yeah. And you're like, in fact, I would. Here we go.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So JDub, I also have the stoner eyes too. So when I bartended, which we'll get into, kids used to come in and be like, I'll be like, what do you want? And like, I don't know, man, I'm tripping on shrooms. And I'd be like, dude, you got to go. And they're like, but I have these stoner eyes. Yeah. I'm not stoned. It's like, they just start messing up.
They're like, oh, this guy's in the club. Great.
One time it's torrentially snowing in Norristown. My downstairs neighbor grew mushrooms. He's a weird fucking dude. He used to tell me about chemtrails and shit every time I come home from work. So I don't have any drugs. My buddy's over, and I'm like, my neighbor's weird. See what he's got. Knock on his door. He's like, I have truffles. They're a psilocybin siliqualis truffles. I'm like, sure, give me them. We eat all these truffle mushrooms, get so high. We watch Encino Man, and then we go to the bar in the snow.
Encino Man?
Like, we watch Encino
Brendan
Man,
Fraser and Sean Astin and Pauly Shore.
My one buddy's like
Classic.
yelling at the movie during the whole time when the bully shushes Encino Man. He's like,
shush!
You shush me, I'll fuck you up. He's like yelling at the TV up. So we go to the bar, Ohio mushrooms, and I walk in there, and I remember being like out loud going, I don't want to be here. We order 4 shots of Jägermeister. She like puts them up in the bar. I pay for them, and I'm like, I don't want this, yo. We're just all so hot. We just leave them on the counter, and we just walk back out in the snow.
That's fantastic.
And I knew the bartender very well because I was there every night. So then like a week later, I show up, and she's like, what the fuck were you guys on? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you and like 3 dudes walked in here, ordered 4 shots of Jägermeister, and then just walked out.
That's awesome.
I was like, oh, we ate a bunch of mushrooms and came to the bar. I realized it was a bad idea.
Dude,
that's great.
I knew I dated a girl one time who I think it was like the first or second time she'd ever eaten mushrooms. A drunk driver had crashed into the front porch of her house. Well, yeah,
her car hit her house while she's on mushrooms.
Yeah, so a drunk driver. This girl had the worst luck out of any person that's ever existed. I mean, she dated me, for God's sakes, but yeah, she had the worst luck out of anybody that ever existed. But she was at her house. She had like eaten a bunch of shrooms. And then all of a sudden she heard like a loud bang and went out front, and a drunk driver had driven into the front porch of her house, like off the road, right into her front porch. Yeah.
So she had to deal with the cops and all that shit.
No,
probably.
she ran. She ran.
Did she run out of her
just
house?
ran.
That's
she
smart.
told me she's like, I just ran to my friend's house.
Doesn't have to delve into anything crazy. But so the first time I ate mushrooms, we ate them, right? And 45 minutes goes by, and my one buddy's like, I gotta go home. And I was like, what? And so he's like, I'll drop you off on my way. And I snuck out of my house. So back then I would climb out of my back window, hop onto my deck, and then walk out of my backyard. And then to get back in, my stepfather was a home inspector. So there'd be a ladder always in my backyard. So I'd set the ladder up, climb back onto my roof, go into my room, sneak back downstairs, put the ladder away, and then go to bed, But I had eaten mushrooms, and it had been like 46 minutes. And then they dropped me off, yo. So I'm sitting on my front porch trying to like compose myself to now open up the ladder, pick it up, climb onto my roof, climb into my window, and then do the whole thing. I like stumble when I'm on the first roof and shit. I put it all away. I go downstairs. I turn on my TV in my parents' home. I put on MTV, and that Breaking the Cycle, a Linkin Park's video had come out, and it's animated, and it's of a guy jumping off a roof, but in reverse. And like it plays backwards throughout the whole song and shit. I was so high on mushrooms, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I was like, did I fall off the roof and am I dead? Like, did I not make it? Did I fuck up and I fell off the roof? And I just remember being so high and being like, God damn.
Dude, even thinking about that's giving me heart palpitations. That shit. Yeah. Me and mushrooms don't get along. I'll tell you that right now. So
now as an adult, love them, but yeah, as a kid, it's a wild experience.
I mean, I get piss tested for my job, and I have a kid, so that just shit is fucking
48 hours. Pew pew pew, right out your pee.
I mean, I'm not in any hurry to do them. I'll tell you that. But yeah, so yeah, I'm good. I don't ever want to take them again. They fucking suck. So all right, for either way, so let's keep going. You leave NYU, you go to ZooMass, right? And then when you're at ZooMass, you started at a coffee shop as a barista, but then eventually you would work up to manager. So how did this go? What was going on here?
So went to ZooMass, left ZooMass, got back to my hometown.
Okay.
So
how long were you at ZooMass?
A semester.
Okay.
School was never for me.
Same.
So I went from NYU to another huge school where it was, I mean, overwhelming, just the amount of kids, everything. So ended up leaving, doing not great, and leaving, going back home. And then I got a job at an independent coffee shop in my hometown.
This is when like coffee shops were the craze. Like this was like the cool place to work.
Start of it.
Yeah.
This was a great coffee shop, man. We used to this is before cold brew was a craze. And we had somebody go to like Costa Rica to like actually smell the beans in Costa Rica. Like it was they were really serious about their coffee, but it was a family, a very wealthy, old school money family. So they just opened the coffee shop for their daughter, who was at that time probably in her 30s, but she was a stoner, like married to a guy, and that was her baby. So I was the assistant manager under her.
So you basically did everything for this lazy rich bitch.
No, she wasn't even a bitch. She was so cool. It was like, I don't know how to explain it.
You just did everything for this high lady.
Yeah. She was.
She's like, I don't know how to do the accounting. Can you do it?
It's like the schedule.
So she was
working this weekend.
So she was high, but she was also very, I don't know. She just didn't need the money, and whatever it was. So we actually got along very well. I won't admit to doing anything illegal on this show because of my fighting career.
No, you've never done anything illegal.
No, I know. But I did used to go in the morning. We got along very well, and we put on Grateful Dead from like 5 a.m. till 2 o'clock. And that's when I shipped
hear like 3 songs.
Yeah. Wow. Funny guy. So, and let me tell you, we looked tired from 6 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock. So we had a great relationship. I was on par with her, but it was a real fun place to work. Eventually what happened was she decided she didn't want to, whatever happened, I forget, but I took over the management, everything. So she was kind of she wasn't there as much.
She's like, you run it, man. You're doing so good.
You're doing great, man.
It's like you're basically running it now. So come on.
I noticed you're ordering like 5 times as many whipped cream canisters, but is there any reason you're doing that? I've said this on the show before. I worked at Dairy Queen, and when I worked at Dairy Queen, the way they have it set up is that the whipped cream, there was a hose that would come out of the wall, and in the back was the nitrous tank that went to the hose that shot out the whipped cream. And like the first day I'm there, the one girl was like, "This is how we do it here," and then it took right out.
I was like, "What's going on here?" She's like, "That tank's big, and I'm ready to go." And I was like, "Hey!" I was like, wah, wah. The manager's then yelling at me the whole time. Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
I had no idea about nitrous. I'm like 13 years old, or maybe 14, because my brother had a job at a grocery store. And so he's like, they're awesome. I do it all the time at work. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds dumb, yo. And so the next time he comes over with his backpack, yo. And he's like, come on. We sneak up to his room. He opens his backpack up. There's like 4 full ready whipped cans in there. And I'm like, what do we do? He's like, just suck it in, yo. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. Me and him, like 14 years old, just getting spaceship high off ready whipped cans. And I remember like waking up the next day because like I just passed out in his room and just being like, I'm noticeably dumber. Like I was this smart yesterday, and I'm now dumber than I was yesterday.
That shit does cook you. I remember I was at like, I think I was tailgating for I was tailgating at it was for the first ever UFC fight in Philadelphia. I think it was called UFC Declaration or something like that, right? And we're there and we're tailgating, and where we were, I think we were in K Lot, which is by where the factories are and things like that. And I went to go piss in between these 2 like semi trucks that were parked into the warehouse. And I go to piss next to them, and then this dude's there. He's like, "What you want?" And I was like, "What the fuck you want, man? I'm trying to piss." And then I look down while I'm pissing, and I see balloons everywhere, and I'm like, "Oh, this is what this guy meant by this is what I want." And then I went over, I was like, "How much?" And he's like, $5 for a balloon. I was like, "Give me 5 of them. Here you go." And then I went back to where we were, like the tailgate with balloons, and everyone was just like, "Ah, let's party." Yeah. And then I saw one guy fish out doing it, and I was like, well, this is the last time I'm doing this shit. So there you go. Yeah.
God, nitrous is so stupid. There was this last one.
I love it. Keep it going.
There was this kid I was buying weed from who lived in Lampville, who you know, Matt. And at the time, he sold weed and had a huge nitrous tank. So every time you go over to his house to buy weed, he'd also give you like a huge fucking hit of nitrous.
Who was it? I'll cut his name.
Remember?
Oh,
yeah. This huge tank, yo. And as he had it for like 2 weeks, yo. And like every time you came over to buy weed, like he'd hit it too. By the time this tank was done, gone from like 115 IQ to like an 87, yo. Like I swear he was so much dumber after this tank was gone.
I bet. I absolutely bet. Yeah, that stuff, dude. I mean, yeah, that stuff is.
But every time like, you want to hit a nitrous, I'm like, not really, but like, yeah, like it's 3 o'clock on a Friday, but sure, it's like a big mouthful of nitrous.
Yeah, yeesh, that stuff is killer. So, all right, well, let's keep it moving. So
more drug talk. Let's go.
We don't have enough time for all that, brother. Okay. So you're working as you're now the manager of the coffee shop, right? Everything's going good. And then eventually you would and you got the manager job you were only there for like 3 months, and then you got the manager gig, right?
Yeah.
How long would you be there before leaving?
So, I mean, a few years, few years. I ended up, they opened a store actually in Copley Place, which is a really high end. I don't know if it's high end, but it's a mall in Copley Square, Boston, which is like, so I used to take the train in and manage that place.
Oh, wow.
And that was great.
How long was the train ride from Newton to Boston?
That part of Boston, 45 minutes, but with the stops. But
so Newton's like the Lansdale of Boston, then, huh? You know,
it's the Lansdale of Boston, made up of lawyers and doctors and financiers. It's the Doylestown of Boston. Exactly. Perfect analogy. Yeah.
All right, got it. So okay, so sorry for our international fans and for the non-tri-state area fans. Doylestown is really ritzy, uppity, like really like
very fancy.
Very fancy, like lace curtain Irish fucking town. Which it's nice. I got family that lives there, but I do have family that lives there. But it's a really nice hot spot, cool place. But it's like nice and clean, and there's not a ton of crime and things like that. So yeah, there you go. Alrighty, so you're going into the city to Waverly Place, and you're the barista, coffee manager down there. Wait, so if you have to open up the coffee shop, you're catching the train at fucking bumblefuck o'clock in the morning, right? Like
exactly,
it's like 4 in the morning.
Yep, and just let me say one thing for my brass knuckle, hard hitting Boston guys. I grew up on the bad side of Newton. Remember that? The Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
So it wasn't. Yeah. So I wasn't a Doylestown night guy. I was like a Pipersville guy. So I just need to make that clear.
Hey, no problem. Hey, man, you were from the Lansdale of Newton.
Yeah, exactly. The Lansdale of Newton. So I mean, not like these North Wales fairy guys.
I mean, we're not delinquents over here.
Those guys.
Those North Wales pansies.
Yeah, those pansy guys.
those rich spoiled bastards.
Shroom taken.
Those nitrous whacking.
Must be nice.
12-year-olds with full donut addiction problem.
Yeah. Real nice family, a lot of lawyers and doctors in North Wales. Well, to be fair, in the development,
it is very diverse.
Yeah, it's crazy because once you go over Sumney Town, it's like nice. But when you're on the Pembroke side of Sumney Town, that's fucking stretch from. You fucking are.
It's just a bunch of animals. There's a
especially
Navy SEAL.
even by the police station. right? Like, you know, like everyone, like you're like a block away from the police station, fucking whacking up H. And it's like, what the fuck's going
one
on?
Of the head one of the head cops in North Wales was a full blown alcoholic.
Yeah,
drive around drunk every night, yo.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
pulled me over drunk one time, and I was like, you're fucked up. Like, what is going on here?
He's like, look, at least I can handle it, bub. You're swerving. If you weren't swerving, he's like, I'm not swerving. You just can't see straight. Yeah.
One time my brother got pulled over and he got taken out of the car, and the cop walked up to me, this cop, and he was like, are you all right to drive home? And I was like, dog, are you all right to drive home? Like, what's going on right now? And he's like, look, just take your brother's car and get out of here. And I was like, I looked at him, I was like, are you gonna let me start this car and you're gonna pull me over 30 feet down the road? And he looked at me and he smiled. He's like, that's a good ass idea, but I didn't think of that. And he sent me home to take my brother. He knew we were both drunk, but pulled him over for a DUI and then let me, knowing I was drunk, drive his car home.
Nice.
Unbelievable. North Wales was a lawless place.
Was?
It's cleaned up a bit. He's no longer a police officer there.
No.
But he used to be the head of the police.
All I know is it must have been nice to be able to afford nitrous. We had to huff cans of paints or
I
whatever.
never had nitrous.
Yeah, well, whatever. You rich kids from North Wales can afford shrooms and whatever you want, designer drugs.
I had to go to Lansdale to get that nitrous.
We were huffing what's in our parents' garages.
Yeah.
Me and Joe Rogan.
Yeah, we're stealing Robitussin. It's great. Fucking Newton mash. Fucking Newton.
You ever wake up hungover from the scissor? Yeah, that's a hangover, pal.
Dude, I'll tell you some stories about the scissor.
Let's go.
I used to hang out in North Philly, and scissor came in two colors, purple and yellow. You ever have the yellow?
No, I didn't do scissor, but go ahead.
So I used to work at this warehouse, and then
little Weezy.
So real quick, I used to work at this warehouse. This kid who worked there, his name was Flip Graham. He was the funniest kid you've ever met in your whole life.
Am I gonna have to cut his name?
70, nah. If his Flip's even still alive, he'll come find me. He lived on 77th and Ogon, and he was like, he used to fall asleep on his forklift all the time, yo. I'd be like, what the fuck are you on, yo? And he's like, yo, you ever have that scissor? And I was like,
scissor.
He's like, you want the purple or the yellow? And I was like, what are the options? Like, the purple made you sleepy, the yellow. So the yellow was just crushed up Xanax and like, I don't know, Robitussin. And then the purple was just straight cough syrup.
Yeah.
So the yellow would put you in outer space, yo. I didn't like the yellow, but the purple, yeah. I mean, the story delves into much deeper, darker places, but it's a lot of fun. You should all try scissor.
I mean, I love scissor on my waffles.
Try the yellow like once, but the purple is fun all the time.
I mean, I'll take your word for it. I mean, yeah, I got a kid. Fucking those days are, I mean, until she's 18, those days are fucking over, you know? So
can we please just edit this so it's just where all we're talking about is drugs the whole time, and I don't know what else is on here.
You should really, I mean, if you really want drug talk and sex places, then stay tuned for the Low Life podcast.
That's all I really know. That's all I've really been doing.
That's great.
The Low Life podcast launching on the Forestry Productions Network soon. So, okay, let's keep it on moving down the road. So you were the coffee manager there, you're working in Waverly Place, everything's good. Why did you leave the coffee shop?
Copley Place, Philly.
Copley.
So yeah, Copley Place, Boston. So I left. So what ended up happening was I guess I was back and forth, or I went back to the place in my hometown. And I realized while I was there, or just in general, I'm slinging coffee and making espresso drinks, cappuccinos. And at a again, I worked, you just heard about my background. I was working at 12. I'm a hardworking guy. Yeah. And I'm crushed. I'm the morning guy. So to answer your question, I'm waking up. I think we opened at 5:30. Like the mall didn't even open until 10, whatever, or maybe it was 6. Yeah. So I had 4 hours. Meanwhile, great job working in a mall, because there, especially at Copley Place, it was every single girl who worked at every single high-end fashion place needed a cup of coffee, and they were coming into my spot,
baby.
And I basically ran that place in the morning by myself. So
that's unreal, dude. I've seen like I've been to like a Starbucks in the like, especially I used to go to Starbucks sometimes on my way to work, and it was fucking bananas.
Yes. So, and then meanwhile, in the slow periods, I would be it was just a great job. But I realized, hey, go ahead.
What would you be doing on the slow periods? Just hanging out?
Yeah. So I'd stand at the front and I would look at the girls working the kiosk. I mean, it was a great job for
you would be giving them you'd be giving them the wolf whistle and your young 20-year-old come on hitting your stride. Yeah.
No, I didn't. Well, meanwhile, Justin will appreciate that. I still haven't come into my own yet. So I'm 20 years old. Still haven't really.
Still waiting to bloom.
I had an older girlfriend who kind of like, eased me in and then broke my heart. One of those deals.
How old we talking?
18.
Oh,
it's a very personal show, by the way.
I mean, well, wait.
How old are you?
Wait, you were.
So she was 23. I was 18.
Okay.
Oh,
that's a bit old.
Right.
I mean,
it's amazing. Yeah.
That's a fucking man right there.
Dude, every other dude is like, when did you lose? I was 11 fucking years old. She was 18. Like, I'm 18.
It's fucking Newton. Yes.
So she was an older girl, whatever. So ended up breaking my heart.
Hey, dude, nothing. Hey, well, they all do that, brother.
Yeah, exactly. And then so anyway, but so still at this point, I'm checking out girls, whatever. So I realized, hey, I'm getting through this morning rush. And when I got to Copley, I was the only one in there until the mall opened. So I'm cranking out coffee drinks. I'm moving fast. I'm talking to people like me. And I said, one of my buddies had just graduated UVM, really smart kid. All my friends are fucking genius kids. But we talked about it. I said, hey, man, I'm slinging drinks. I want to go to bartending school. He goes, I want to go to bartending school too. So we both decided to go to bartending school. I would never recommend it if somebody's going to get into bartending now. We talked about this. You want to get into bartending now. And people used to ask me all the time. I say, find your favorite bar. Don't waste your time with a bar that's going to be slow paced. Find your favorite bar.
Yeah.
No shot of getting in the bar and tell him you'll do anything you want. But back then I didn't know. So we went to bartending school. I went with my friend who's this genius. And it was the one school that I excelled at beyond it was like having a bad college track record. I get to this bartending school, memorizing drinks was so easy for me. Everything about it was like,
you're the magnum cum laude of this bartending school.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I'm real proud. Yeah. Meanwhile, the teachers aren't like, college graduates. They're washed up bartenders who can't cut it anymore.
I went to bartending school as well and graduated the head of my class. So, just saying.
You learn all those good drinks.
Dude, I'm telling you, I will say this, right? I do believe that every bar I have worked at, I am the best bartender there. But I don't think that it anything to do with the bartending school. I'll say that. No. Right. It is, dude. I mean, it is what it is. It is kind of a scam. And the one thing that I think fools everybody is like going to bartending school does not help you get a job at all. Nope. Like you're saying, you got to talk to be a regular, talk to the people, get to know the manager and fucking bust your ass. Right. Be the hardest worker there and they'll put you behind the bar. Guaranteed.
Yep.
Yeah. So okay.
Yes. So to segue, I was at the coffee shop, I realized, hey, I'm cranking these drinks out they took very good care of me at that time. I don't know what a good salary was, but it was up there for a kid, whatever. And tips. And they took really good care of me. But I knew at that age, the allure of being a bartender is like bartenders get girls, bartenders are making cash. That's like the coolest thing in the world. So I ended up deciding listen, I'm already doing the work. I'm already, but I'm not getting the rewards from being the coffee guy, so.
Like chicks, they ain't coming in to hang. They're only getting one drink and leaving at the coffee shop. At the bar, they're getting a drink and they're getting them all night, babe. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, all right. So you ended up having did you end up having a connection with someone that worked at a bar and that's what got you in? How did it go?
Yeah. So we had a friend, which was a great connection, but we had a friend of the family was It was actually like a
friend of the family, right?
Yeah, you know
like
what I
the
mean?
little person,
like one of these guys. Yeah.
So was he a friend of the little person?
Hey, Matt, he was a friend of ours. You know what I mean? So
he's a friend. I got you. Yeah.
But anyway, actually, it was now that I think about it, it was a friend twice removed. So it was a friend of a friend. But either way, I got the introduction. I got the go ahead.
Sure.
So this guy was a very good, whatever that, very well-known lawyer in Boston.
He's a good fellow.
Yeah. He was a partner of a firm and he had the bar, I think, to be cool. I don't know. But so basically
probably to get chicks.
Yeah, exactly. But so, so this bar was the busiest bar in my hometown, the coolest bar in my hometown.
Nice.
Now my hometown, unlike Doylestown, is also a city. So it wasn't a town, it was a city right outside of Boston. So it's more like a Roxborough, I guess, or a Manayunk type place.
Okay.
So take I don't go out, but Conshohocken has the best bar.
I was just about to say that.
So it's like one of those where it's one of those places you don't walk in, bartenders are there for years. And I went in, I got started. So meanwhile, the layout of the bar, restaurant in the basement, actually, first floor is a big sports bar, TVs everywhere. Upstairs is a rock club. So you have 3 floors. It's almost like a megaplex. Yeah. I start there on the door as 5'7", still small, still scrawny kid. And I basically collected IDs. And what
wait.
Yep. Go ahead.
You still haven't blossomed fully, right?
Nope.
And you're working the door at the bar.
Correct.
Okay. Continue. Sorry.
So I'm this little kid working a door. Back then it was so I was collecting just basically taking IDs and basically, if there was any problem, there were probably 6 other door guys. And back then, you used to have trouble. So you used to have tougher guys from tougher towns coming into a very white collar crowd type deal. And those, Matt, you can attest to this. That's when fights start because those type of people don't necessarily get along. And also white collar people think that you can sue your way out of anything or you can talk your way out of anything, and blue collar guys like you or myself, we're gonna handle it if it's not, and it's like, so there's that clash. So there were people and they weren't even like big fights, there were people getting knocked out. I mean, like where you had to, like, fights were over in a second. I saw so much blood of just like so basically
did you ever hear someone say, do you know who my father is? Like that whole shit.
So, so basically there were a lot of that. But we had 6 door guys on, and let me tell you, I mean, I would be the 7th.
Yeah.
These guys were big dudes, and they were, there's a guy who's a legend, Yancey. It was all, I don't say roided up, but you can, whatever. Nobody knows.
Right. Yeah. But he was on creatine.
Hugest guy, and I remember he would pick guys up by their neck and put them up against the wall. That strong, like a action hero.
God.
I wish I still knew. And you know what? He drove. So I'm going to get off on a Yancey story real quick. He drove. This guy was a monster. He looked, I forgot what he was, but he looked like The Rock with hair. Like he was like Samoan or something like that. He was very dark, but enormous, big dude. And he dated, so he used to drive a Lotus. And back then I had never seen a Lotus. Like, who drives a Lotus this is the 90s. And I think the door, the wings come up the door, whatever. But anyway, he dated 2 sisters. No joke. 2 blonde sisters. He walked in with the sisters. Yeah, they were twin sisters. Yeah, it was amazing. Wow. He dated both of them. Like, this guy was
out Yancey.
But I'm talking money. I mean, I'm talking, like, I don't know if his family, I think it was jewelry, whatever it was, so much money, but he was also a monster. So this guy, I knew he was behind me, and then you have 5 other guys like that. So
wait, Yancey was a rich kid, and he still wanted...
I don't know. So I don't know. I didn't know him. So again,
I was gonna say, if he was a rich kid that liked it, like he was just bouncing for fun, I'd fucking love him. You know?
Yeah, no, I think that was basically what it was, 100%. Yeah, that was it.
Nice.
But I never. There was a lot of allure around who he was and where he came from, and because he was a fascinating guy, I would watch him pull up to work, or if he wasn't working, in the Lotus, gets out with 2 blonde girls, and it was like he wasn't a very. At work, he wasn't necessarily talking to me. He was either talking to girls, or he was also a quiet, charismatic guy.
Yeah,
so people, but the thing I remember is at that point in my life, I wasn't even big into lifting then. And I just remember the size of the guy and just being like, this is the biggest human being. Nobody in my circles did roids. I mean, back then roids weren't even I think back then roids were go big or go home. There wasn't like nobody knew about them. It wasn't like take this much Winnie and it's going to cut you up. It was just like pump yourself. So this guy was enormous. But then you had 5 other guys like him. And so I grew the biggest set of balls a 5'7" nothing kid ever had. And I used to take IDs, and if anybody gave me shit, or if anybody was acting up a little bit, or I didn't like them, I'd be like, "Nah, you're not getting in." I'd be like, "What do you mean?" And I knew within 20 seconds, we didn't have walkie-talkies back then. Fuck that, but there were enough door guys there that I knew within 20 seconds, if I could last, I had the biggest dudes on this guy. And it was mostly like, to be honest, it was mostly, most of the times I got into it. I knew the guy was my size or smaller. I didn't like to start with huge guys, but huge guys would start with me. And that's when the bigger door guys would get very protective. So I would tell people off. I was like, I'd be like, you're not getting in the bar. And they'd be like, what are you going to do, you little kid? And I would literally, I'd give them a second. So better than me. Nobody wants to throw a punch at a bar. I mean, maybe in Philly, they don't. A lot of John. Yeah, a lot of John. So all it would take is them putting their hand on me. So usually, unless you know somebody, you're not just going to throw a punch. You're going to push or something. Right. All it would take is a push, and me keeping my distance enough, or being like that. I knew within a second, I say 20 seconds, but quicker than that, I had 4 guys on this guy throwing him out, like protecting me. So. So I started there, and then I got my shot on the bar, and the rest, and then you guys are going to have to read the book.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
is that where old Uncle Aaron came into his own, or what?
That's when
you started to hit your stride.
Yeah. So,
nice. Good, man. Dude, because I started bartending when I was 19, and like, bro, like, bartending in your 20s, it's a good fucking time.
In your hometown. So I was
always, I was in Philadelphia somewhere, but go ahead. Go.
We had my 5-year reunion there, and I didn't go. I bartended it. So let me tell you, every
your 5-year high school reunion.
Yeah, we had it at my bar, and I said, I don't want to go. I'm going to bartend it and make a lot of money. So every girl, and at 23 years old, I don't care if you just got out of law school and you're making so-and-so at Saks and whatever. Yeah. There's nobody cooler than a kid who's making 6 figures cash behind a bar. Yeah. So it was my prime. I mean, it was every hot girl that was there. I'm the one who can give you a free drink. Like, I'm the guy. So it was, So
and
it was,
and you also can talk to them like, you're like you don't have to treat them like their shit don't stink. Like, you can, put them in their place, dude. And I bet too, all of them like, Aaron, you're so grown up. Oh my God.
Meanwhile, I also came into my own in terms of looks. Yeah. And back then, Saved by the Bell had kind of just ended or was on. And I was tan and I looked like, I wish we could throw a picture up there right now. Can you insert a picture?
In the edit. For those of you listening, Aaron's, he's being modest. He still looks like a better looking version of AC Slater.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
And you can see it on YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast.
So anyway, full head of hair. I look like AC Slater. But I'm still, you got to understand, you never lose, even today, I never lose that shy little kid. Like the shy guy, because especially I lived it till I was 19. So it's so I never thought even to this day, like a girl will be intimate. And to this day, I still have that shy little kid insecurity. But the good thing about being behind a bar, I didn't have to do anything. It was, what time do you get off work? 2:00. Okay, well, I'm going to wait. And I would say to the door guys, hey, she's going to stay, whatever. And she'd hang out. And, or, hey, here's my business card, it was just, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to get rejected. It was a lot of fun, good times. I got a lot of, but, like every good, like teen kind of movie, I think somewhere in those years, I got a big head, you know what I mean? Because it was coming easy to me. I lost some good relationships with good girls, knowing that there's plenty of fish in the sea, and no regrets, obviously. But it's I feel like maybe I broke a couple hearts that not in a mean way, but just not being able to commit. So it's but then that helped me learn and grow into a better person. So
you know what? It's not your fault that you're so goddamn good looking.
Keep it up, so buddy.
Goddamn charismatic. All right.
Yeah.
They must. They should consider themselves blessed for the time that they got with you. So
did I mention I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu? That's my closer.
We're gonna get into that. So let's keep it. Let's keep it moving. So you're bartending at your hometown, and you would work there for a while. Then you would move to Atlanta for a year, and you bartended there as well. How was that?
Yeah. So it was fun. It was, I worked at a pretty cool place in the Highlands, which is like I don't know how to explain it. I don't know Atlanta that well, but it was a good neighborhood, very expensive neighborhood in very fun college vibe. Which was really cool.
Nice.
So worked there for a year. It was great. Atlanta is, man, it's a fun city.
I'll tell you, Atlanta is like popping now, man. Like all the Marvel movies are filmed there. They film like a ton of movies there now. It's like a huge like box office place. AEW is trying to wrestle there more, and Cody Rhodes, that's his hometown. So Atlanta is definitely they're trying to do big things and become they're trying to become a big popular city. They want to be they want it to be the four corner where it's northeast, southwest. So it'd be north is Chicago, east is New York, west is LA, and south is Atlanta. That's what they want to do it.
Yep, absolutely. So I swear the ratio of girls to guys, and I heard it moving down there, is 9-1. And I swear by it. I don't know if that's the actual ratio, but it's pretty close. And I think
the fuck up.
I think the reasoning is, I had a lot of fun down there. So I think the reasoning is that women from the Northeast don't like to stay in the Northeast because in general, they don't like the cold as much. They don't have as much body. I don't know what the reasoning is, but then the other thing is that if you are a girl that grew up in the South, Nashville wasn't big until recently. Yeah. Atlanta was the big city of the South.
It's the LA of the South. Yeah.
Yeah. So many women. It was such a transplant city. It was great, but it was and friendly, so it was great. Yeah. It was a great experience.
Southern hospitality. So then you would go from Atlanta, and then you would move up here to Doylestown, right? And you moved here in 2008, and you've been here since 2008, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Yep. So you started bartending, and you bartended at a place. And are you cool if we shout it out? Chambers in Doylestown.
Yep. Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Yep.
So and so this, I'll tell you this, and this happened to me as well. Dude, bartending, it's a young man's game, right? It is a tough fucking job. People don't realize you're hustling, you're moving. It's a lot of physical. And then also it's you have to put on a face every night of being in a good mood, even though you're not, and you're tired and people are yelling at you. And it's you still got 5 hours left in your shift. And it's it could be so tough and so miserable. Right. So, but if you're making good money, it's tough to say no. But eventually, and this happened to me, where you get burned out. Right. So you would be bartending in Doylestown, and how long before you're dude, I can't do this full time anymore?
So I was there for 10 years.
Jesus.
So I'm going to argue with you that it's a young man's game, because I think the reason I got burnt out was the younger generation coming in without the work ethic. Now I sound like a grumpy old, what am I? I'm not a boomer, but I'm the next one, like the grumpy old. I'll be one of the boomers one day, but
what are
Gen
we?
X?
No, I don't know.
Z, Gen X? I have no idea.
I don't fucking no, we're millennials, aren't we?
You're a millennial. I'm 46.
Your mother's a millennial. Just kidding. I don't know. No, I don't fucking know.
My brother was in the same boat. My brother worked in Doylestown. My brother made $300 a night, and he's like,
where do you work?
He worked at 313, 213. He used to work all in Doylestown. I would just go up there and get hammered.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's that whiskey bar that
what's his name? Brad?
Yeah, shout out Brad, the ginger coxman.
Oh, he's a ginger. I don't know any ginger coxman up there, but
he worked at 313 or 213, and then there was another bar that had it was a whiskey bar that had a happy hour from 11 to 12. It's like right on the corner. I don't know.
Is this
11 p.m. to 12 a.m.?
You're hammered.
Yeah, every time I've been to Doylestown, I got hammered.
Yeah, so the good thing is I don't know you, because if I know you, that means you are a problem. Yeah, so it's true. Usually I remember faces when I hang with a rough crowd. I am very well behaved.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
For the most part, I'm pretty well. I'm very neutral. Out of all the people I've grown up with, I'm the least psychopathic.
Right. Yeah, you're not Cabot level. No, but you're not Romeo level either.
Yeah, they're all maniacs.
Oh, they're nuts. They're nuts. And you throw some fucking liquor and some schneef in them, and it's like, forget about it.
Yeah, there's a kid who grew up in my neighborhood who was a Navy SEAL, and he wasn't the craziest kid in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's
not even by a mile.
No. Not even close. If anything, he's one of the more sane ones. Yeah. So let's keep it going. So I would agree with you, especially for me. Yeah, the young kids coming up, they're lazy as fuck and they complain all the goddamn time. Yep. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, but to answer your question, the burnt out part came from, I actually really do believe that at an older age, your biology changes, where the hours that you're working more than anything. I really believe I developed a shift sleep disorder that cops get, all that stuff, because here I am, I'm going to work at 6 and I'm getting out at 3:30. I'm going to bed at 5 and I'm sleeping till noon. Then I'm doing it again. Yeah. And I think I found myself tired, depressed. I think it was, the day I stopped, the reason I know I had it, the day I stopped and got a daytime business hour job, my life changed again. Like I felt great.
I was working third shift and I started at 8 p.m. and got done at 6 a.m. And I didn't know I was depressed until I stopped working there. And I was like, holy shit, I was miserable.
Yeah. Dude, you do need to see the sun. You do need that daytime interaction. There's a reason a lot of people strive to the 9 to 5. You know what I mean? So,
it sucks, but you feel it on the opposite end. You're like, oh, well, it's not so bad. I sleep all day and I get up at night, but it eats at you trying to have a normal life.
Oh, yeah.
People are like, you want to have dinner at 6? I'm like, no, I'm normally asleep.
Yeah. No, and dude, and you're not wrong. And dude, also it's tough to cohabitate with people who are on the 9 to 5 schedule. You're absolutely right. So
and the other problem is I'm hammering all day. I'm not the kind of guy who sits around. So I'm hitting the gym, I'm doing all this stuff, going to jujitsu during the day, hammering. Now all of a sudden it's 6 o'clock, where most people who've been hammering all day, put their feet up on the couch and watch TV. And now I'm going to work an 8-hour shift. Behind a bar that's getting busier as it gets later. So So anyway, keep going. Sorry.
No, you're right. But you would leave bartending, right? And you would start working you were a property manager at a self-storage unit, right?
In sunny North Wales, correct.
In the jewel of Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, North Wales, aka North Willie, aka North Webby, aka JDub, aka North Kakalaka, aka Schwab Game, aka home of Schwab Game, aka Schwab Game, home of. So, okay. So you're working there. I'm assuming, North Wales, really nothing going on town, not a lot of action. People are pretty mild. Anything happen at this self-storage facility? Huh?
So squatters, I had a couple squatters. There was some meth being cooked in one of the units. A lot of temporary tenants who were sleeping there and all that stuff. Other than that, it was pretty good. I did have to deal with what's the cops, not the North Wales ones, but the
Lower
Gwinnett. Yeah.
For the record, I love all our police officers. I think they do a fantastic job, but the Lower Gwinnett police officers are pussies, yo.
Yeah.
They can fuck off, yo. They're the ones who North Wales Police Borough. North Wales Police Borough is 10 blocks. It's 3 police officers to patrol fucking 46 kids who are fucking lunatics. And it worked, But Lower Gwinnett, because it had a higher property value, had police officers with canines. They had the scanners for your registration being done. So North Wales had none of that shit. So you could be in North Wales without your registration for 4 years. No one would give a fuck. But then you leave North Wales and all around it is Lower Gwinnett. And they would have the license registration scanners and your inspection scanners. They'd be like, we're going to call the dogs. I'd be like, fucking have a day with it, buddy. I got nothing else to do. Yeah, they were dickheads.
They're the ones that are dressed like they're going to invade Poland, right?
Yeah, they had a SWAT team that did nothing.
It's all because they got $1 million homes and fucking.
Yeah, they had a good property value, so they had a fucking kick-ass police force, but they had nothing to do because there was just nice developments and 19 kids because they were brand new developments. So they had nothing. They were bored. They were waiting for the Lansdale kids and the Northwell kids to drive through that part of town as they were going from bar to bar. That's all they were waiting for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hated them. And you were right across the street from Boston style.
Do you like that pizza, by the way?
I know the owner. I know a kid who worked there for his whole life. It's good food.
Let me tell you. So I'm from Boston. I'm looking at it Boston style pizza. We don't have a style of pizza, but what are you talking about? It's not, how can you say that? But I went in there once and it's the pizza that I used to get in my hometown and it's Greek style. Yeah, and I haven't had it since then. It tastes exactly the same. I don't know if there's just a Greek sauce and they share the recipe.
No, he's a very Greek man. I don't know very many Greek people, but he was a very Greek man.
I know
his
a
Greek
few.
Daughters worked there. Yep. They were very pretty. And my buddy worked there.
Mediterranean.
And I love that pizza because it brings me back. It's the kind of pizza you got to sop up the grease with a napkin before.
Wait, what? So wait, Greek style, is that a thing?
That's how you would explain. You would say
it's a sauce.
Greek pizza.
It's a sauce,
but it's
something's weird.
It's almost like a doughy, thick, spongy crust.
Like New Station.
Kind of, but the crust almost goes to the end, like a pan pizza.
Well, I think it's a different cheese too because it's so greasy. I don't know what Greek pizza is, but you greasier than you ever seen pizza. I don't know how to explain.
New Station is some of the best pizza you'll ever have. You should try it if you haven't. Yeah, New Station Pizza, Lansdale. Shout out sponsor.
So I'll tell a quick story about the storage facility and the Lower Gwinnett police is and squatters, believe it or not. So it's gonna get all these, and then it'll be
love
more
it.
Stories. So,
hit it.
But there was a guy. He had a trailer there because we rent spaces and had a car and car parts in there. He gets broken into, comes to me in the office one day and goes, "Hey, my trailer was broken into." I said, "Do you have insurance? You're supposed to have insurance, whatever." He goes, "Somebody told me that there's people living in a unit here." I'm like, "Yeah, I've heard that too." And he said, "Do you think that they, broke in?" I go, "To be honest, I do. I think those are the people you want to be watching out for, whatever." Anyway, this guy calls the cops. The cops show up, Lower Gwinnett. And I'm nervous at this point because this is my job. I'm like, this guy called the cops, whatever. I don't know how to handle it. So the cop comes in and goes, "Did you," all pissed off and all, he goes, did you tell that gentleman that the people that somebody did it or you thought these squatters did it?" And I go, "Wait." And I could tell by the way the cop was fired up about this. I go, "Whoa." I go, "I didn't say anything. I just agreed with his possible interpretation of what happens. And the guy was like, well, you shouldn't have done that. Meanwhile, I've had a long day. So Matt doesn't know this, and I'm about to, and by the way, nobody at the gym knows this because I think a lot of fighters there probably have this also. And what keeps us calm in the way we are is from training and fighting. But I have a horrible temper, a horrible temper.
Same.
So
Same.
So this guy, the cop says this to me. Meanwhile, I've had a bad day. This guy's already, so the cop said to me, he goes, he said, did you tell him that? He goes, well, you shouldn't have done that. And I go, I didn't know, I'm not a lawyer. He goes, well, you shouldn't have done that because now you ruined the case, something like that. So I said, excuse me, can you hold on for 1 second? And I walk out back. Oh, and then I said to him, well, listen, I quit tomorrow. I don't care. Like I go, I'm quitting tomorrow anyway. I don't care. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, he was making it feel like I really screwed up. So I go, can you just excuse me for 1 second? I walk out calmly to the back, out the back door to the back storage thing. And I just haul off on a wall. Full speed. I turned my back foot over, Matt. You would have been impressed. Haul off on a wall. So now I feel great. So I walk back out and I go, I'm sorry, I just had to deal with something. So what were you saying? And he looks at me, he goes, are your knuckles bleeding? And I go, yeah. I go, so what and the guy's looking at me like, am I gonna have to lock this guy up or so it's but I just thought it was funny. Is this guy gonna be a problem? All I did, he's not the one who broke. So I think he was probably, the suspicion was on me that I was the guy. I was in on it because who else would punch a wall? I was having a really bad day. This guy was telling me I screwed up. So it's so funny. And so we're joking that this guy, the suspicion was probably on me for a couple minutes that I was in cahoots with somebody. But anyway, so that's the end of the story.
What? Wait, so why was he pissed that you were like, yeah, it's probably the fucking squatters? Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, suspect number one.
I know. Well, it happened. I think it was that. Well, for whatever reason, the whole situation was very tough for me to handle. I didn't have anybody above me that I could call to kind of make things better. So I think his implication. Meanwhile, he wasn't even the officer who ended up doing the investigation. He was just a fucking
stunad.
He's just a car guy.
Bored.
Yeah. He was it was one of those guys, but he wasn't the detective. So I think his implication was that I screwed up the case or whatever because I told him that. Meanwhile, I had been dealing with this for like a half hour before he arrived, so I'm already frazzled. I just lost it when he said that and the way he was looking. So I just said, "Hey, I need a second." Went out back and just hauled off on a wall, which I do. It was. By the way, in my older age, I realized you got to do it on a wall you're not going to damage. Unfortunately, it hurts your hand more, but. You don't want to damage walls for temper, but anyway. So
I've been using my head a lot more too.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Like instead of hitting my fist, I'll hit my head on something when it's like fuck off.
Yeah, that's good.
But no, you dude. I'm with you. I do fucking love to hit shit. It is fucking best. But whatever, man. I wanted to try. I saw this thing one time, and I would love to try it. They call it smash therapy, where they get all this stuff, and you can just fucking smash it and break it.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, fucking sign me up, babe. Come on.
I think the three of us should go on shrooms.
Dude,
what do you think?
No, fuck off.
Sign me up.
No,
yellow
scissor.
Scissor.
Yeah.
The yellow one that wakes you up.
Fucking A. So
anyway, let's get back on track here.
So let's keep it going. So all right. So you get done at the self-storage unit, the lower going cops, they can fuck off sometimes. Well, whatever. We support the cops on this show. I support the cops on this show. Some people can have whatever opinions they want about the police. I don't care. Either way, I do support the police though. But either way, we'll keep it moving. After you get done at the self-storage unit, you move from there to the position you're at now, right? Where you're a field sales rep for Monster Energy. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Unleash the beast, baby.
Unleash the beast.
Let's go.
Yeah. For those of you listening, Aaron has a pretty fucking sweet Monster Energy jersey on right now. Not gonna lie. So if you want to check it out on YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast, you can see all the cool merch that he has on.
Gronk, baby.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's a Gronk Monster jersey, which is fucking pretty badass. Cool. All right. So this is something I'm very much interested in. Obviously, everybody knows energy drinks right now, massive. It's a forever evolving game where at first it was just like loaded up with whatever. Then it's like, give me all the B4 you want. Then it's like double the caffeine. Then it's like, hey, now you can't put any fucking sugar in this fucking thing. So it's like a whole bunch of schmutz going on with the energy drink game. And that's just me from an outsider's perspective. I really have no clue. So how do you like it? What's it like? Like, what's a day in the life like for, the field sales rep for Monster Energy? Give us a lowdown.
So greatest job in the world.
Nice. Love it. Good start.
I think I'm probably on the older side of the guys I work with, but it is.
How many monsters do you consume a day?
Me, one. I mean, well, that's a lie. So that's a big lie. It depends on, it depends on the day, but if I'm training, but
dude, those things, I'll tell you this, they fucking work. I will tell you this, baby.
Yeah. They get the job done.
Ooh,
so I'm drinking a rehab right now. This is my 8 o'clock at night before going to bed at 10 monster. So this is light compared to what. So we also have Rain, which is the performance energy, like the other one with the B word. So that kicks your butt, So
that's the new guy in the game, right? The other one with the B word, like they're
we don't want to talk about those guys. But
they suck. They're no monster. Yeah. So we'll shout it out.
So anyway.
Right now.
Greatest company. There's from the top down, very accessible. I don't know how to explain. Our pillars are gaming, music, action sports, girls. Like it's like everything I love in one company. Lot of opportunities for cool swag. I'm actually bummed I don't have a Monster gaming headset on right now. I gotta get one of those, but a lot of opportunities to win cool stuff. There's a lot of trips. We do our national sales meeting in Vegas once a year. It's just a fun company, but we also get shit done. So nice. It's really up to me to get out there and Coke does our distribution. So I'm really partnered with Coke.
Coca-Cola.
It's nice it's nice until you go to the warehouse in Northeast Philly. It's real nice. But,
I've been there, yo.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah. It's double boy work there, yo.
Yeah, you got to get out of there by dark.
Yo,
what's going on? Wait.
So it's right off like North American Street.
Yeah.
It's Erie and like North American Street. It's like back there is the Coke bottling plant. You used to pay like $20 an hour. So like if you didn't smoke weed and could behave yourself in North Philly, that's where you worked.
Yep.
And paid good money. My one boy used to work there. I used to pick him up. It has that little over like bridge section that like covers the street. Yeah. It's a really big bottling plant. It's one of Coke's major distributors outside of Atlanta. It's actually in Philadelphia.
Is Coke based in Atlanta? Coca-Cola based in Atlanta?
Yeah, Coca-Cola is based out of Atlanta. It has one of its bigger distributors in Philadelphia.
Oh.
And then so does Kraft. It's like right up the street, not too far from there.
Nice.
And but right outside of there is a very terrible area.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's like Kensington's like half a mile away, and then you go like right into the North Philly Badlands, like right out of that Coke bottling plant.
Oh, baby.
It's nice. Like right in the Section 8, like Temple outside area. It's
nice.
Cool.
So so wait, do you have to go down to the Coke factory a lot there?
So that's where. So we have a section of their warehouse. So that's where. Yeah. So at the Coke factory, I'm getting stuff I need for accounts, setting up accounts. So glides, anything that you see in that door, point of sale, pricing, stuff like that. That kind of stuff is housed there. And then also there is a mass amount of cases there that are allotted to our sales team, where that's used for making deals to get. Basically, I'll get into it. The name of the game in beverage sales is space. So, and facings. So that the more facings you have, the better visibility you're. So
yeah. So I used to know a guy who owned a deli down in South Philly, and he would talk about how the distributor would come in. He'd be like, "Hey, look, like sell my shit," and he'd be like, "No," and he'd be like, "Hey, I'll come bring you a fridge, and you can stock my shit inside the fridge." And he'd be like, "Okay, we're getting closer." And he'd be like, "I'll stock it for free for the first 3 months." He'd be like, "Okay, now we got a deal." So he'd have the Monster fridge. Then you come stock it with the Monster beverages. Same thing. Red Bull would do the same shit. All those
don't say that shit on this show. We don't
all
say
those
that
companies.
shit. Yeah.
All those energy drink companies would do the same pitch. So it's like, this is the fridge. This is how nice it is, and then they get competing fridges, all that kind of thing. You have an agreement for a certain amount of time. Like, hey, you give me the fridge, I'll do it for a year.
Do you ever have to like dispute on where you're going to place it in the store? Be like, look, I'll give you this cooler. I'll give you it stock full. I'll fill it for 3 months, but you need to put it here. And that's a thing, right? Like I want it front and center, right next to the motherfucking Oreos. Yeah. You know?
So there are, so basically there's a couple different things going on. One, a lot of companies, I won't speak for Monster in particular, but they will give a pricing discount on the number of shelves you have, or on the placement of your cooler. So if you walk into any place now and you see the crappy energy cooler there, it's usually next to the register because they have that written in there. The advantage to my job, and which is why I love it, is that Monster we flip-flop with the other guys sometimes, but in general, across the country, Monster is the number one selling energy drink.
I would say so.
In the Northeast, the friggin' Wings guys, they the name that shall not be mentioned, the energy fairies, whatever, I'm making up names. I wish I had better names for these guys.
No, dude, those are perfect.
So, in general, both of us are saying, you see all these other guys try to come in, and we're really on the market on that. So listen, if you want to give us 2 little shelves on something that's going to fly out the door and use space for something that's going to sit there, like it just sells it. I mean, I can't help you. You know what I mean? I will literally, if I don't waste time, I don't have to waste that much time with somebody who just doesn't get it. You know what I mean? I have the numbers, I have the facts in front of me. If you don't like me as a person, which is rare, that's my first thing. You should just, I'm the greatest guy in the world. You should trust me. But I mean this from the bottom of my heart, that to all the Mr. retailers out there, I want to help you guys. I want to help you make money. It makes me look good. It makes you look good. It's like, so I'm not in it to, try to push a product that's not going to sell down your throat. So, basically that's the game for me, is that the more space, the more Monster we're pushing out. But fortunately for a retailer, is I'm taking that space away from lower selling SKUs and products that you just, and our margin, I keep them. So it's basically, that's the name of the game, is the more space. Meanwhile, we have 1 million SKUs, not 1 million. It's exactly.
By SKUs, do you mean like different flavors?
Yeah. So they refer to the SKUs like this is an SKU, like, so we call it, instead of flavors. So maybe I'm just getting too industry term, but so basically, and then if we have, say, the new strawberry lemonade comes out, and we have one facing of that facing gets lost. So to have one facing of something, they all look the same. So we try to get 2 facings of everything. So now you're talking about a lot of space. So ultimately, and my argument for people is, you're dealing with the number 1 and the number 2. By the way, energy, number 1 category in all cold vault. Cold vaults these days. So energy is the new soda. So if you're dedicating a door to, I'm going to say the competitor, I'm going to say Pepsi, because you shouldn't be giving them a door. But if you're going to be dedicating a door to Pepsi, why are you doing that? Because now you're taking the number 7 and 8 selling thing out the door. Nobody drinks soda anymore. So it's a real easy, it's not, I don't even consider it a sell. It's a real, it's like a real easy.
You're just giving them it's like you're giving them the facts. You're like, look, this is the facts. This fucking sells. You're going to make money off of it. It's not going to be tough. We're going to hook you up with some shit and people are going to buy the fucking thing. Right.
Yep.
Do you notice too, like, I mean, as far as like the stuff, like, I mean, so when you're saying facing, or do you mean like, cause you know, when you put them in the cooler, they're facing the window. So like you're saying like different rows facing the glass, right?
Yeah, rows. So think about it as rows. So you can think about it as shelves, and you can probably get 10 facings on a shelf, but but it's really comes down to each individual facing, because sometimes you're dealing with cold vaults that have 2 doors, and it's really then it's a dog.
So every row means everything. Oh
Yep. And I've been resetting. So resetting a door would be like, I convince the retailer, or actually we just decide together that you don't need this much Pepsi. And I go, I'm taking 4 shelves from Pepsi. Now I'm going to move their other 4 shelves down here to a less visible spot. Let's give Monster the best spot, the best visibility. I've been resetting doors like that, and I will do it immediately. I will get dirty. I don't care. I'm like, let's get it done now. Because if I wait, so when I've had Pepsi walk in while I'm doing that, and I literally puff my chest out.
You want to do something? I'll put you in purple belt in jiu-jitsu, pussy. Put your arm.
I'm going to lose my belt if we keep it up, but they're going to take it back.
No way.
Waving it around. So I literally get that set. I mean, we're obviously not going to brawl, but I think it's just an
alpha male,
reaction.
man. Yeah.
Yeah. These guys were competitors, and now I'm screwing up their shit, and they got to take a picture of what it is now. And their boss knows what it looked like last time, and it just makes them. So it is, sometimes it's a little bit of a dogfight. It never gets into,
like
I'll tell
an
you
altercation, but like
I will tell you. So I'm the nicest guy. Listen, we're all just trying
super nice guy. Yeah,
I don't need to say it more, but
I'll scream from the rooftops.
Justin's a little iffy on me, but in general I am. But I'm also a jokester. So when I see the Red Bull guys, those guys hustle. They're around all the time. Yeah. But I'll always say, "What's up, guys? How's your day going?" Because we're all just selling. We're all just selling, energy.
Yeah.
But the C4 guy walked in once. I swear, if you could make these guys, like, you had an image, his shirt, he's wearing a medium shirt, jacked up, C4 energy drink, right? And you couldn't have gave me a better sales guy. I don't see these guys that often, but he walks back as I'm doing something, and I go, and he's bringing some cases back, and I was like, hey, the owner, straight face, tough. I'm like, hey, the retailer says, take that shit out of here. And he thought we were going to scrap. And I literally, like, most guys know I'm fucking around. Obviously, we're all selling energy. But medium shirt. He goes, "What did you say to me?" I go, "He said, take that out of there." I'm kidding, buddy. What do you say? Yeah. So it's pretty funny. Yeah. It's pretty funny. So we joke about the C4 guys are all they're all
fucking roided out.
Yeah, they were all roided.
Yeah.
But so anyway, do
you see a lot of women in your field? And like, if yes, are they like, I mean, come on, dude. If you're fucking Sammy, the deli salami guy, you know, it's going to be tough to turn down, good looking tuna coming in. You know what I mean?
So we, unfortunately in Philly, we are going dude strong here. We have not had a woman step up to the plate in Philly, but we get to the warmer climates. Across the country, there are a lot of women in the field and hardworking girls and women that so I think as a company we try to get more women into this position. There is a little physical component of it, but in general,
you're like hauling cases.
I mean, you got to be able to carry a case. There's a little, in general, I was told we have a 60-something-year-old woman still in my position. I forget where she is, but she's a hammer. I don't know if but it's a great company. Ass. Yeah. So I think in general, they fare pretty well, but there's also something to being, I sell to 7-Elevens. I sell to toughest. And sometimes as a woman, I don't want to generalize, but I think those kind of the culture, it's not that I don't know cultures that well, but sometimes being a woman is not really regarded as
it's a detriment,
the authority.
Yeah.
So I think whereas, listen, it's great to be a woman and, especially a pretty woman.
It's probably the fucking best.
Yeah. I mean, and I have friends that are just do that and they're great in sales for that.
Yeah.
They also bring something to the table besides their looks, but it's, but yeah, it is helpful. But then at times in this business, it's like you're dealing with, sometimes it could be detrimental, but yes, we do have women in the field and they kill it and they're great. And
when you're filling a sleeve, right, or a facing, right, what, like, it's usually like, do you tell the store and you're like, okay, pick 2 flavors or whatever depending on the number of rows you have, or you're like, hey, I can put a variety pack here and see what hits, or like, what are you doing?
Who's the expert, me or the owner?
I would say you.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell him. Yeah,
you're gonna be like, look, these do you want to sell Monster, or you want to have up here what looks pretty? You want to sell fucking Monster?
Yeah.
Put these fucking flavors in because they're the hottest fucking flavors out right now.
Yeah. So as confident as I am that I'm an expert at with Monster Energy and energy as a whole, I also am very conscious that the retailer who's owned that store for 30 years is also an expert on his customers.
Yeah.
So they will give me that a lot of the times. I mean, I'll take out one of our flavors. I'm gonna substitute flavor for SKU. So I mean, but I'm gonna take out one of our flavors, and because it's not a seller, it's a dog everywhere, and you don't have a lot of space. I'm not gonna order you that one, but he'll say, I got this one guy, and he comes in twice a week and buys 5 of them. I'm gonna listen to the guy, and some of those guys, it's just so I'm kind of working with them, but I also give me a chance, you're going to see huge profits. Then there's also a lot of guys, unlike me, that don't pay attention to their money or their numbers. And those are the worst, because I cannot tell them, I cannot give them numbers and try to convince them that this is the right move number wise, because they just don't care. They're cash. They just don't care. They're happy doing what they're doing, and they don't really
they want to change it up, and
they don't really inventory. They don't want to look at profit margin and see that they'll be made, they just don't care. And then I just walk out.
What are you gonna do?
Not everybody's so
some people are just fed up. So nice, man. Dude, I'll tell you what, that was pretty fucking awesome. And I know we're coming to the top of time, and I did want to say this, right? I know we didn't get to talk about the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as much as we wanted to.
Don't worry about it.
I just want to say that fucking I've seen your growth in the gym, and I can't tell you how proud I am of you, because it is tough and it's a rough room there, right? So I know we've joked about your purple belt a couple times on the show, but it's something you should be very proud of, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication to get that far, and there's a lot of people that don't have the gumption or the guts to stick with it and do it, and you should be very proud of yourself. And I'm very proud of you, just seeing the gains that you make, and just think, I just think, man, you're going to be a Brown before you know it. And then you're going to be fucking running the show, man. And that's how you're going to be tapping Dental Bill. And that's the name of everyone's game. You know what I mean?
No one taps Dental Bill.
No one
taps Dental
Bill.
No
one. I'll tell you this. And I talked about him. We had Padilla on last week, right?
I know. I'm honored to be following him. Yeah.
And we had talked about how, like, people don't understand what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has done, where it's like, if you see a guy out, you just don't know anymore. And Dental Bill is the perfect example of, he's this fucking goober looking fucking guy. And I love Dental Bill to death. He's my fucking guy, but he's a fucking goober. There's no way around it. But this guy will fucking knock you out or tap you out in 10 fucking seconds. And he's a dentist. He's a dentist. No during the day, right? But he can if you get fucking slick with him, he's gonna put your ass down hard. And he's one of those guys, like, he comes to every class, he doesn't miss, and he goes hard when he's there. And he's like he's he was a goob at the beginning, but now he's legit like one of the toughest guys in the gym. And he's fucking Dental Bill. He's fucking Dental Bill. Right? So I just wanted to let you know, very proud of you, man. And I'll tell you what, dude, this has been a killer show. And I know me and Justin are usually on the same page with this, but if you'd be willing to, we would love to have you back on the show.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me to do shrooms with Justin.
We can do shrooms next time you come on the show.
Guys,
I'll mail them to you.
Let me tell you, I had such a great time that I really thought that I forgot that. So I really thought that you were going to be like, listen, I'm pretty sure Justin's on the same page, but we really want to hang out with you. Yeah. like we really want to grab a beer in Lansdale next week. Now,
dude, that too. Yeah, we'll get some scissors. We'll do the whole thing.
I would be.
Hey, you bring some Monster. I'll bring some scissor. We'll get
it, buddy, dude. We'll get the up and the down, and just keep going back and forth.
Up and down. Yeah. No.
So anyway, man, I'd love to be back. I think there's a lot we didn't cover.
Yeah, agreed.
Because I like to talk, and it's great.
Dude, I would love to get you, because aren't you competing soon in BJJ?
I would, yeah, absolutely. I'm getting back into it 100%.
So I would love to have, I would love to have, we could talk about your competition and whatever. We can just love to have you back on, man. I knew this was going to be a good fucking show, and it was better than we could have dreamed of. So
good.
Before we get out of here, is there anything you'd like to say to your adoring fan base before we take off?
Yeah, I'd like to end on this because I've always wanted to. Can I give a quote? Is that all right?
Hey, dude, floor is yours,
brother. This quote is from a wrestler, Thompson High, 1985, 190 pounder who dropped 22 pounds to wrestle a guy named Shoop. And here it is. Cooch was right. It was a vision quest, but all I settled for was we're born to live and then to die. And we each got to do it in our own way. And I guess that's why you got to love it like there's no tomorrow. Because when you get right down to it, there isn't.
Fucking A. Justin, do you got anything to say to top that?
I do not.
There is no topping that. This has been another episode of the Working Perspectives Podcast. You can find us on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can have us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast. Join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. I'm Matt Lavelle. He's Justin Richardson. Our guest today was Aaron fucking Rosenthal. Fucking loud and swaying us on the way out of here. All right, thanks for listening. Stick around for the ad read. Thanks. See ya.
Hell yeah.
Fucking A. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott & Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott & Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott & Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott & Bell Publishing, where the authors go.